You have no idea how excited I am to play this game.
I have a little idea.
Yeah, do you know what? Right. Well, look, I've left it black. Hang on. Let's turn
There's
that
nothing
off.
wrong with that.
Hang on. There we go.
Oh,
Okay,
nice.
so here we are. Yeah, I mean, this game, like, believe it or not, like, well, you already know, like, this is one of my favorite games ever, and
Yeah.
like, you know, even though it's not, you know, there's not any massive direct influences. There's even influences in this game, in the game that I'm making all these years later. So,
Which is insane.
which is insane, right? This is one of the first games that I like. You know, I mean, I loved things like Manic Miner and Boulder Dash, stuff like that. But I think this was the first game I ever played on the Spectrum that blew my I thought this was amazing when I played this.
Do you know, right? When we used to play games, neither of us were that hoggy over the games. We'd play them, we'd take them in turns. You hogged this game.
Right.
You'd be like, oh, let me just have one more go, and then your dad just. Yeah. And I was quite happy because we used to watch each other play all the time. But yeah, you really did used to hog this one a little bit. Not terribly, but you could tell that you'd really liked it back in the day. But one of the things that I don't know whether you probably didn't get this right, but years later, after what you're talking when I was in my kind of like sort of 20s and stuff like that, I remember I was sort of talking to a friend and they were sort of saying about stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, I really liked this game called Atic Atac. It was one of Taz's favourites, so we used to play it a lot. And it took me a while to realise that Atic Atac was spelt like how it's spelt.
It's one of the things I was going to comment on as well, because earlier on I was like looking at so there's a couple of things, right? I was looking at the artwork, right, and obviously like the box art that I've got there is quite kind of like pretty low res, right? It's quite blocky, and I was trying to find like because I love the artwork on this. Like I was trying to find like a better quality picture of the box art, and I even kind of like tried upscaling it and stuff like that, and the upscaling just destroyed it, and it just looked horrible or whatever. But I mean, there's a few things about it, right? I completely forgot that it was spelt like that, Atic Atac, and I do kind of think that is actually kind of genius in a way, because it's so catchy, and that's a much better way of marketing the name of the game, right? Can you imagine if it was Atic and then the full attack? In terms of logo, it just wouldn't have the same snap. But like, I think like the other thing, when we were talking about, and I'm not going to say this every time we do like an ultimate play the game like game, right? But like, it's got nothing to do with like where the indies play the game logo came from. It's just pure coincidence, man. Like, it's pure coincidence. And like, look, I'm just gonna put it out there, right? It's got nothing like, it was nothing like that. I didn't like. Anyway, I digress. No. I was going to say, like, right, so, I was looking at this artwork, and one of the things that, like, the logo, Ultimate Play the Game, was really cool. It had all the shading and stuff like that. Very few logos at the time had that kind of, like, gradient shading and stuff. And it wasn't, like, it wasn't until you started seeing things on the Amiga and stuff like that you start to see logos like that. But that logo font for Atic Atac is, I don't know whether I don't know whether the artist designed that font or whether, I'm assuming he did, because I can't imagine there wouldn't have been fonts back then, right?
I don't think so. I think it was just drawn, weren't it?
That would have been handcrafted, and damn, that is a damn good font. That is like, I don't know, it's a metal album or a really cool, hard rock metal album font or something,
So there's a couple of things that stood out for me. Obviously, everything you've said, but the Made in England up in our top left.
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, you don't. I don't know what That seems weird, but I like it.
Do you know what I reckon that is, right? So, like, as you know, but like probably everybody else doesn't know, like, because I went to PAX recently, right?
Yes.
And so one of the things that, like, when you go to, like, I don't know whether it's the same thing, but if you're an indie developer and you go to PAX, and the PAX that I went to was held in like Melbourne at the Melbourne Exhibition Centre, massive place. And if you're when you're signing up to get a stand, the first thing you have to do is fill in details about the game, right? And when you're signing up, blah blah blah. There's an option. There's a little checkbox to say whether or not you're from Melbourne or not, right?
Yeah.
And if you're from Melbourne and you're an indie developer, the their internal database or whatever automatically submits you to get part funding for the stand from the Victorian Melbourne government. Like they have
nice.
a grants kind of thing, right? And so, so when you go to like these events and stuff, if you're from that place, they'll generally kind of sponsor you a little bit, and they might pay, I don't know what it was, like 15-20% of the stand or whatever. So it's like, that's quite nice, right? And so because of that, like I've just gotten used to always saying made in Melbourne. And I put it on my website, I put it on all my stuff, made in Melbourne. It's like this thing, right? And I wonder if it's the same thing, like, made in England. I wonder whether that's like something to do with something like that.
I need to bust out the made in England on stuff.
Yeah, maybe, mate, maybe. Maybe you do.
So the other thing I noticed is if I can get my finger in the shot, that logo there, the colouring on that logo, is that the inspiration for this today?
Hey,
is that intentional?
Hey, like, what can I say, man? What can I say, right?
I did
that before, like, I even saw the logo. They copied me. Like, what can I say, man? Yeah, it was. It was the best I could do anyway.
So when we were talking about cover arts for the other week for Bruce Lee, and this one, the Spectrum cover arts quite often have this the slant. I'm doing it the wrong way because I'm doing it.
Look, it's both ways on there, bro. So
yeah.
You're all good.
So they had the slant for the Spectrum colours, which I always thought was a really cool little bit of branding, because when you went to the shops you could see all of the little Spectrum things sticking out, and you'd see all the tapes, and they'd be, and it really stood out.
And you know what, like, I've got a feeling that everybody else thought it was cool as well, because, like, when you look at the loading screen for this game, lo and behold, and a lot of games did that, right? And so, I think one of the reasons the Spectrum kind of like took off in England was partly to do with that it had this really cool rainbow logo. Because it's not really a rainbow, is it? It's only got 4 colours in it, but it's yeah, there you go.
Let's jump to this loading screen, and we'll carry on chatting over the loader.
Loady. Turn the TV
on. Loady. All right, let's boot this up. I always like this little flash screen that the Specky has, where it kind of like, does that. It's so cool.
Yeah, do you know what? I wonder with that, like, whether, it's... Because obviously that's the screen buffer getting initialised, right? But but I wonder whether, like, I've got a feeling that, like, what you're seeing visually on the screen there is not maybe something that they intentionally made. It's just what happens when they clear the screen buffer.
Yeah, I think so.
Because it almost looks like a little animation, right?
Yeah, like it's supposed to happen. I wonder whether or not they've done it, and they're like, "Oh wow, that's really cool."
Like this had happened on a lot of the newer games, but like I love how, like, you've got this kind of thing. You've got this certain pitch when it's drawing out the picture in black and white, and then then at the final, once it's loaded that final thing, you listen to the pitch change, and then it fills in the colour. You listen.
It's such a weird pitch change, isn't it?
It's so good though. Here it goes. How good is that? Every time a game loads.
Did you notice the rainbow before and after as well? It was
Yeah.
made up of like little triangles, and
Yeah.
that's obviously because you've got the color switch to stop the color clash.
Yeah, yes, because because basically like that diagonal line, there's no color clash, right? So they would have had to have used background and color, background and forward, kind of like cheat to kind of do that.
Yeah, this well, look, the little monster coming out. I like the little highlight of the little yellow around his right hand. I mean, that's an interesting little, just some little quirky things like that. I like as well the little the wizard's stick, the way it goes over. There's so many good little bits in this logo and this loading page.
So one thing I was going to say, actually, I'm just going to real quickly switch back to the box art. You don't really notice it on here so much, but when I was like looking at trying to find a higher quality version online, I did actually find higher quality ones, but they were ones that people had kind of sort of like either over processed or like drawn over a bit, and so I just wanted to go with the original. But like you don't really notice it, but like when you see the high quality versions, that little monster that's coming out of that the trapdoor there, there's all these scratch marks around all the bricks where like he's kind of clawed it's like he's clawing his way out the trapdoor.
Yeah,
it's very cool.
Yeah, give a good close up of my face there while I'm looking at the detail. But yeah, it's one of the things that I find interesting here is look at the chains. The end of the chains, they've got little red color clash on them.
Oh yeah.
They could have just moved those chains down by a couple of pixels.
Maybe they liked it. Maybe they thought it was kind of like, oh, it's blood, or I don't know.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing, isn't it? I mean, it makes you wonder whether or not the whole thing was drawn in black and white originally, and then they went, oh, where can we overlay and add colour?
I tell you what, as well, it's interesting that, like, you got the Bites Atic Atac 3 whacked straight over the logo.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
Because, like, other games haven't done that. Like, so it's not like they had to do it.
No.
Which kind of, I wonder whether, don't know, who knows? Maybe they were popped for time and they had a tight release and they were like, I can't figure it out.
I think this is an 83 game.
No, it's not, is it? I thought it was an 83.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is.
Oh, you're right. It is an 83 game. Mm-hmm.
So this would have been one of the first ones to really kind of take advantage and do these sort of loaders. And, I mean, for a start, it's
look, it's loading number 4 now.
Oh, yeah. For a start, it's 48k only. It's not.
Yeah, so this is one of the first ones that did multi-part loads, right? Because this is like now it's loading part 5. I'm pretty sure all the other games we played were all in one go, weren't they? They didn't have multi-parts, and so this is kind of a different thing. Maybe they're loading. Maybe that first load was the game. Now they're loading things like the menu. Maybe they're loading the graphics or whatever.
Yeah, that little bit at the end might have been loading the 3 different characters. Maybe we don't know.
Yeah, it might.
But yeah,
be.
Oh my goodness! But yeah, this is. John, jump over to your. You already out.
I've already. Yeah, I know. I'm getting streamlined at this. Like I know what you're going to say.
Let's. I'm just going to start up. I'm just going to start up my stream ready for
business. I'm gonna.
Ready for business?
I'm gonna.
Don't forget to change to your joystick.
Yeah, I know. So, question is, knight, wizard, or serf?
Yeah,
that was another thing that's cool about this, right? How many games do you choose a different character?
Well, yeah, I mean, these days, obviously quite common.
And it has consequences, right? Like, really small consequences, but it has consequences. But, like, when you think about it, right? So they describe this as a arcade adventure game. That's what they called this. And it's like, think about it. Knight, wizard, serf, that's kind of like, you know, the basic choices you get in D&D or Dark Souls or something like that, you know. And so the fact that you can actually like choose a different dude, but these guys as well, they all have like they have a different weapon and stuff as well, don't they?
Yeah. And
can you remember what the serf has? Because I know the knight has the axe,
I think
and I know the wizard
no,
has...
no. I think the knight's got the sword and the serf's got the axe, or is it the other way around?
Not sure, you know.
We should definitely play a different character each.
I'm gonna try. I wonder if I'm gonna try wizard first. We'll go.
I thought you might go wizard first. Who should
yeah.
I pick?
I'm always a mage.
I went with. I've got knight currently selected, but I was going to go serf. I think I might leave. This part's amazing. Him loading in there. I love that.
Yeah, such a good way of loading the character in, man. So the
idea of the game, as far as I remember, is you've got to find the golden key to actually get through that door to your right.
Yeah, the ACG door. And and these doors, you see how like you got white door over there?
Yeah.
Like that open and closes every so often, and so...
Correct. So you're stuck in the room until the door opens.
Yeah.
And then you can just go.
Oh, that gives you health.
And so weirdly, you don't have to actually kill the bad guys. You can almost just dodge around and not worry about them.
Now the wizard, what can he go through? Because like the wizard, you can go through the... I can go through the cases. Bookcases,
yeah. Yeah, which is another weird thing is that the game had these different sort of things depending on what character you were, because you can't go through those clocks, can you?
No. So I think this. Okay. So that's going down a level, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's a trapdoor that you can pull down, and you should land on a rug, apparently. Okay. Which you did.
I did.
So I'm assuming this is now the basement.
Okay. See, because when we used to do it back in the old days, I just thought it was just a load of screens, but there is actually...
a point to it all.
There is actually, like, different levels in this layer that you're in.
And it's a weird thing. So, what have we got? I was just having a look because there's a map of this whole thing, and it's.
Oh, now this must be going back up the stairs, right? So this will take me back to the beginning. Once I run through this door, presumably. If I could actually open that, because like I need a blue key. Oh, bollocks. And you've got your health that is constantly. you lose health constantly just from running on this thing, man.
Yeah, you know, and I just think that reminds me of my real life, because I feel like I lose health just from running.
Oh balls! I keep forgetting I've got firepower. Open the door. Oh balls! I badly need some health now.
So you need the green key to go through. What's the point of the barrels? Are they something that's only one person can go
I think the surf goes through barrels. That's poison.
What, mushrooms?
Yeah, anything that flashes basically is poison. Okay, so that's the blue
key.
You
got a blue key.
The only thing is though, I have no idea how you pick it up, and you can only. Oh, screw me! Oh no, don't! Damn it! I just want the key, man. How do you pick up the key?
That's a good question.
Because like, it's only so long I can like. These things aren't going away, man. Unless you just run through it. Maybe you just like. No, you don't run through it. I'm running out of health. I'm going to go and get some help somewhere. Yeah.
That can't mean that you. Well, it says you press Z or symbol shift keys. But surely that's not when you're on joystick.
Wouldn't have thought so, but I need health. Oh, bookcase.
Wizard needs help.
Now we're cooking. Okay. Okay, I'm going to try and attempt to get that blue key again, because I want it. Okay. What's the key on the keyboard to pick it up?
It says Z or symbol shift.
Okay, I'll try Z.
So I'm assuming it's going to be Z.
Okay, here we go. Yep.
Oh, was it Z still?
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Okay, so now I can go through. Yeah, so once they're unlocked, they're unlocked. And it looks like I can carry 3 keys by looks of things. Yeah, no, that's right. I can carry 3 keys because the main key to the door's made of 3 parts, isn't it? So.
Oh right, okay.
So you have to. But that's the thing about this game that makes it bloody impossible. Is like to complete this game, you have to find the 3 parts of the key and collect them all, and then carry them back to the door. You can't do it unless you could drop it. Maybe I'm running out of health. Bad. There I am.
Yeah. Now you've left a freaking cross grave thing. Does that stay there forever? If you go back into that room, is your grave still there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, that's brutal. Why? Just to haunt you.
Yeah. God, just think, right? Like if they'd have made it so that you dropped your key there, then you would have had to have gone back and done a Dark Souls and picked up your stuff.
Oh.
Oh, hang on, Frankie. Yeah, look, check it out.
So you have to pick that up and then.
Because it's a wrench, right? Because like bolts on his neck. Oh no. Yeah, and then you can kill him.
Yeah, you just run into him.
Yeah, nice. I just killed Frankie.
That's really good. I'd forgotten that they had that. I knew that those characters were technically indestructible.
Oh, got a blue key.
No blue, yeah, blue door.
What's this?
Oh, now you got a red one.
What's that? What the frick is that? Do you reckon that's to do with the devil, dude? I'm running out of health.
Maybe.
Or
there's a skull there.
There's a skull. That could do the devil, dude. The only thing is, there's only one way to find out. It's like you got to collect
get it and then
run into him and die.
Oh my god.
It's brutal, this game. Again, I'm going to say it again. It's flipping Dark Souls, but on the Spectrum, man. Where's the green? I need the green key. I can't find the green key. Green key?
So, it says Dracula can be distracted using the yellow crucifix. Frankenstein killed with a blue spanner. The mummy is the red leaf. The hunchback is the green claw.
And the devil?
Yeah, I don't know.
No devil?
Doesn't mention the devil.
I'm going upstairs, I think. Oh yeah.
I wonder if the devil can only be killed by one of the other characters. Yeah, so that's for Dracula. So presumably he's on this stage somewhere.
Yeah, maybe. Probably nearby as well, because like Frankie was in the next room. Oh, that's going back to the main door. There was arrows going to make. Oh yeah, blue. Oh, there's Dracula. I'm not gonna lie, right? I'm not gonna lie. This game is just as good as I remember it. It's crazy good. Don't need a spanner anymore.
Oh, so the devil takes multiple hits, apparently.
Oh, you just got to shoot him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Although.
God, I'm running out of health again. Oh, just in time. That's not where. Where? Oh, he looks so again. How did I get to? I can't remember. Like I literally. Oh, there's the green key. Yeah, where did... God damn, where's...
Oh, so apparently the key locations change.
Oh! Oh, what, when you play every time you play the game?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It says the maps, doors, shortcut holes, and yellow key positions remain the same in each game. The only thing... it's a bit ambiguous. The only thing that remains the same is the red key is always guarded by the mummy, but the location changes.
I mean, I guess like a good strategy is to kind of just run around and open all the doors you can. Oh! I thought I could kill him, but like it just makes him run away from you, that one.
Oh, did you run into him and it hurt you?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I'll stuff it. I might as well. Oh, I will now. Because you don't get a lot of food on this. Because once you eat it, it's gone, right?
I'm guessing so.
I haven't seen any of it come back. I don't know what the money bag's for.
No. It does say that there's a money bag, a feather. There's lots of little things, but...
Okay. The only thing I can think to do now... Oh, there's a green door. Green door.
Oh, it says you have to pick up every single item at least once. For what purpose, I don't know, but it does say that.
Oh, okay.
So whether or not it's just the fact that you have to pick them up.
I'm going to go through as many doors as I can. That's garlic, is it? I don't know what that is. Oh, I've been here. Right. I remember that. Green door.
Oof. I mean, it's huge.
Feels huge.
The funny thing is, by today's standards, it's probably tiny. But I mean,
yeah.
You know.
How many rooms did you say this had?
Oh, let's see whether it says anywhere. I think it's around 150.
That's enough, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, though, 150 rooms is enough that if you were playing this for hours, you'd probably mind map it. Which would be pretty cool, because you'd know where you were going after a while, wouldn't you? Just by playing.
Yeah, I mean, there are maps online, obviously, to the different rooms, but like I say,
wouldn't have been
the
back
items
in them
actually
days,
change.
though.
No, definitely not. Whether or not we'd have drawn our own map, probably not, because we probably just didn't think of. I think we just used to run around shooting everything and seeing how long we could survive.
I see. We did do it. Like, I remember doing it.
What, actually completing it?
Yeah, because you can actually like drop your items like by just pressing Z again, and so like once you find the I need that. Once you find like a key piece, you can like go and drop it off at the front door,
like where the exit is.
That's how I did it. I just dropped them all off at the front door, and then I think I did, or maybe I'm like tripping. Maybe I didn't.
No, it does. It does sound familiar that I think you did actually complete it, but I think you was the only one of us lot to. Okay, so total number of rooms: 200 rooms, 5 floors.
Wow, that is a lot. Because I don't even think I've even been up. I don't know how many floors I've been up.
So the floors are, you've got the attic, which presumably when you go up there you get attacked.
Yeah,
the first floor.
Imagine so. I'm going in here.
The ground floor, the basement, and the caverns. So the caverns are where you just were, where it's all caverny at the edges.
Oh, frog's leg for something.
The basement doesn't actually say which floor you're in, but I'm guessing this.
I'm thinking I want to go down that hole.
I'm guessing this isn't the basement.
I'm gonna go this way. You know, some of this, like, I can actually remember. Like I remember that bookcase there, and I'm kind of reasonably familiar already with just this top area. Yeah, then you fall down.
Now that might fall all the way through. Oh, you're not in the basement there.
Okay.
Ooh.
Oh. God, jeez. Inventory management on this is crazy.
Oh yeah, so I can actually see where you are on the actual map at the moment.
Oh, juice. I think I want to.
So you're in the basement.
I'm going to open up as many doors as I can. So there seems to be a lot of doors. Oh, bat's wing for whatever.
But yeah, it's quite difficult to follow through on the map. And then that's going back into that room, yeah, and then you're going up into the room there. Yeah, so the map, you are consistently moving around the map that is the map.
I mean, it makes sense, doesn't it? But when you play a game like this back in the day, it's like, because it's just single rooms on the screen and there's no... It's really hard to kind of get your head around that you're actually moving around a map. Oh! What did you say I needed to get rid of Hunchback? Because he's right in the door.
Ooh.
think there's
Let's have a
something
look.
magic I need. There's something magic I need in there for sure.
Yeah.
Let's
Let's have a look. Hunchback. Where are you? The hunchback can be distracted with a green claw.
Oh, I think I've seen that. That's like the frog leg that I said.
Yeah, it's a frog leg. Yeah.
I know where it was though.
It says it's a claw, but that is a frog leg.
I think it might be up here. Back here. No, that's where he is. Well, it's got to be somewhere around here if it was down here. I can't remember whether it was down here or whether it was up. I have no idea where I'm going.
So the knight goes through clocks, wizard goes through bookcases, serf goes through barrels.
Yeah. Which is actually like, the one of the mechanics that I kind of want to use on my game, because each of the characters has got like, you know, like layers, like fire and stuff like that. So she can walk through fire.
It's an interesting little idea. I mean, I could have stolen some of these for mine, but I didn't, so I didn't know about them.
Well, I mean, that particular one, like, I remember it from years ago, and, you know, because it was my favourite game, I never stopped remembering it, and so, like, it was always, like, the intention to have it so that you could kind of... I have no idea where this green claw is. Yeah, so it was always the intention that I was going to kind of have a mechanic like that, but it's just, like, how I do it and whether or not I end up doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't actually do it because of the fact that mine's potentially 4-player, and you know, it just
well,
completely
mine's fantasy, isn't it? So it's like this. I mean, this is pretty much fantasy as well, isn't it? I think it's going down to the lower dungeon. I don't think it's where I want to be.
I like the little animation for falling down the wells, although it's
oh, Devilman.
Although it's kind of weird because
open the door.
You kind of
oh, good job. The door's like
that's good that the door stayed open. Yeah,
that's a good little mechanic. Oh jeez, I still haven't found one bit of the key. I'm assuming that like Thingy's guarding one of them, isn't he? The Frankenstein probably.
Yeah.
Oh man, they have not made this game easy. It's good.
But it's good that they it's good that they kind of like didn't worry too much about you know, like basically you play the game with 3 different characters rather than just going, oh, you've got these 3 different characters, there's not that great deal of difference about them. It's kind of like they change how you know what parts you can go through and stuff. I mean, arguably, did they make that much of a difference? All they do is make the playthrough of the map different.
It just means certain bits, as certain characters, certain bits of the map are easier because you don't need a key to get through the door. Means you can shortcut depending on which character. So it does mean ultimately that your game's going to end up playing slightly different, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ooh, that was weird.
Oh, hang on. So this is like a different part saying about it. It says, protect yourself from Dracula with a crucifix. Devil, run and avoid. No item. You can't do anything. Frankenstein the wrench, which you've done. Mummy, you can lure with a leaf and get the red key without danger. So you need to lure her with a leaf to get the red key. So that's the mummy.
I don't even think I've seen a leaf. Oh, maybe I have.
Have you actually seen the mummy though yet?
No.
No. So then, Hunchback, it says drop one of these items at the Hunchback's room, best placed at the corners. He will stop guarding the door. They're in the first floor, ground floor, basement, and caverns. And then it's got like, it's got a bunch of items. I'll tell you what they're called. I just need to find a bigger picture of the items because they're quite small on the map. So you either the money bag, the gem.
Oh, see, I've got a leaf. There's the leaf. He's right at the beginning. Red leaf.
The whip, the wing.
Oh, the whip.
The
I know where the whip is.
the bottle, or the skull. Any one of those, it says.
I
will
know
get
where the
refill.
skull is as well.
Yeah, so you've seen those quite a lot. So
Okay, okay.
so if you see any items that are pick upable, I can double check them on this little.
Tell you what though, like when you start running out of food, it's like, jeez. I mean, there's no food. There's no way to get your health up.
Yeah. So like, what's the total? I wonder what the play time expectation is to completion.
It's got to be half hour, probably.
And then there's
minutes.
no food left in the game. So
it's probably.
The door's not open
I'd
if you stand near them.
Not really. They're timed like they're on a timer.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, so you have to wait for them.
But it's just every time you stood near one, it doesn't open, and then suddenly you move away and it does.
Maybe. What's that? Nothing. Ooh.
Yeah, that's one of the things in Atic Atac. They have like certain decorations that literally just don't do anything. They're just decorations for the sake of decorations, and they always used to make me think, "What's that for?" You know, and they're really for nothing.
Oh, that.
Yeah,
thing.
so that'll work. Yeah.
It's kind of, one of the interesting things about playing Atic Atac. It's a bit of a weird thing. It's like, oh, got me. Like, because that second life, I made that last quite a long time, but it's like, oh, look, now finding all of them.
Yeah, you can go over those.
But it's like, you know, you can't. Oh, there's another one. Yeah, you kind of. Sometimes you kind of like literally just running around trying to find a bit of food so you don't die. It's a really interesting mechanic.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the time you're going around looking for something so you can get past an enemy or whatever. But then you get these moments where like you're like, because you can last quite a while. That chicken's like going down, but you know you get a good long amount of time to think about I'm gonna die soon. Because it's like just trickling down, isn't it? I don't know how to get out of here. I need to get back to stairs.
Go down and go right. You've been all this way, I reckon.
Down and then right.
Right, go right here, and then keep going right, because you went left at that start part. So just look around this area. Oh, that's back where you were. So go right here. Go up again, and then go right.
I was like dodging that enemy, man, because I'm so low on health now.
Yeah, go left and then go either down or try down.
Oh, see, if I was a clock, you see.
It's got to be up.
Man, I'm almost out of like gizzards.
Oh!
I think I've got one more. Yeah.
Yeah, go up from here. Go up. It's got to be up.
Now, where's Frankie? Oh, let's go upstairs.
There we go, finally.
Oh, look, food.
Yeah, now you don't need it. I like the way even the trapdoor's open.
Jeez. Okay.
But yeah, you're at the point where you desperately need the mummy.
Right, okay. Right, that's cunning. I like that mechanic. Oh, wow! My first part. So now you can leg it. Might as well have it. You can leg it back to the beginning, drop off that K.
Where is the beginning, though?
It's on this floor. I think it's somewhere on this floor. Eventually, you end up seeing signs that point in the direction where it is.
Are you on the first floor?
I think you got me on top floor, haven't you?
Yeah.
Look, see the signs?
Floor. There you go. Yeah.
Oh, actually, you know what? I reckon the food starts to come back after a while. Because I just got a lolly down here, and like, I definitely got that.
Maybe you have to change floors for the food to respawn.
Maybe.
So you're back in the basement now.
So where's the mummy? Where's the mummy then?
The mummy. Let's see if we can see her on any of the maps. So on this, the mummy's on the first floor, which is the one above the ground floor.
I'm gonna try dropping down this little hole, maybe.
Let me. Okay, so if you can get to the ground floor again, I can talk you through how to get to the first floor from the ground floor. So
Yeah,
the ground
look,
floor's
it does spawn back. You're right. Like all this food's come back.
Yeah, so see if you can go up a floor. Find out where to go up a floor.
Upper floor.
Yeah.
I don't know how to go up a floor, but I can go down a floor. I can go down a hole.
So to go up a floor, it's a door at the bottom. Keep going down, and to the right.
Oh, there you go.
There you go, up. Okay,
Yeah.
so and then to get up a floor from here, which room are you in? Okay, go back down. Go down again.
Is there an upper floor from here? Yeah.
Yeah, go left. Down.
Oh, whoops.
Sorry, back in down that room. Down the next room. Oh no, hang on, sorry. I've gone wrong here, because you can't do this unless you're the knight.
I've got like a little...
Wait, I need to find the bit to the first floor. That's confusing. Oh, hang on. Okay, so where are you now? So, go...
Oh, do I need a red key or something?
Go right. Go right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Keep going right. You'll get to a green room, and in that green room, you want to go down. Wait, no, go back one. The green room must... Go down in that room. That's not it, is it?
Oh, it's a green room. And there's a leaf.
Wait, I'm confused as to...
Yeah.
Okay. Up from here.
Mm-hmm.
Up again. Left.
That's going down. Yeah.
That's going down. So go back up. Go down again. Sorry. Then,
Yeah.
Okay, left. Up. Up. The map's so confusing. Right.
Nearly fell down the hole. Yeah.
Down.
Oh my god!
Okay.
Wow!
Fucking.
Jesus!
Okay.
Oh look, there's food up here though. Money bag.
So you want to generally go up and left. You're heading kind of up and leftish.
Oh, nearly fell right down the hole again. Up and left.
Oh yeah, then left. Left again. Up.
Oh, loads of
That's the move. That's the food room that the mummy's in on their version of the map. So she's obviously moved,
Oh.
but she's presumably on this floor. And if she's not, then there must be a thing to go to the attic, and we'll take that, I guess.
Lucky.
Because I'm guessing you haven't been to the attic.
Oh, there's the mummy.
Oh, there's the mummy.
Oh, okay. You know
Okay,
what,
so-
right? Like, she can, like, screw that. Thanks. See you later. Oh,
Oh, and then she comes after you. Love it.
Alright, so we've got red key now, so that means I can get into the upper section.
Yeah.
Wherever that was. Down, I suppose.
There's lots of red bits. Well,
There
lots
was,
of red
yeah.
doors.
Yeah. I seem to remember them being down, though. But I don't remember where the red doors were. Oh, let's go back up.
There we go. All the way into the caverns.
Ooh!
Yeah, so per floor, there's...
There's a red door. Yoink. Oh, yellow key. Oh, there's a red door. Okay.
There's 24, 25 rooms per floor, roughly, on most of these. The caverns seems to be the biggest. There's loads in the caverns.
Oh, really?
Mm.
Pretty interesting choice, the way they draw these caverns, isn't it? Like, because that would have saved that would have saved loads of memory having that drawn. Because it's just like 20 draw commands, isn't it, rather than drawing a whole.
Rather than actually having graphics for it, it's just lines that are drawn up.
Yeah, it's really clever. Ooh.
And the weird thing is, like, I know that there was a line command in Basic on Spectrum, but I don't recall there being a machine code based line command.
They might, like, to be honest, they might have used the line command in basic, to be honest, because it's like, unless they like actually wrote their own line command, because like, look how long it takes for the screen to draw up.
That's what I mean. It looks like the line command that you get in basic.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, because when we first, I think before we were getting into machine code and stuff, like, I definitely remember doing, say, like, adventure games where you'd use the draw command to draw, like, you know, like the old adventure games, basically. And there
was also...
Oh, I was, like, going to celebrate then, and I was like, no, I'll put that there. I'm going to go down here.
There was also, like, a, kind of like, things like... It wasn't Graphical Adventure Creator, because I'm pretty sure that was on the Amiga. But there was something kind of similar to that on the Spectrum.
No, Graphic Adventure Creator was on the Amstrad.
Oh, was it? Ah, yeah. I remember Graphic Adventure Creator. You designed them with like lots of line draws and stuff like that, and it sort of draw them all up like this in between, and that was really quite cool the way it worked. But
it was, yeah.
Yeah,
all the adventure games were done like that back then, weren't they?
Yeah, yeah, and you'd see them slowly draw up.
Yeah,
I would guess these rooms are drawn using that basic command, and then all of the characters in that are animated in machine code after that.
I've just noticed as well, like, it's like every time you go into a new room, the menu, the scroll, changes colour randomly. Or it changes colour anyway, look. Oh no, it is a certain colour for each screen. So it's like...
Is it changing colour to... No, it's not changing colour to the previous screen. It's just changing so it's different to what...
Yeah, but it is like... So it is the same, because if I go back in there, look...
The green one's always purple.
They're complementary colours, aren't they?
Yeah.
So every time it's blue, it's red. Green is purple.
Green's purple.
Yeah, it's complementary colours.
Purple is green. Blue seemed to be different for that stairwell, though. It was different from when it was blue previously, because it was red for one and then a different colour for another one.
Because red and blue, see?
But
blue and red.
It's depending on the archways as well. But green's always purple.
They've obviously gone through, though, and gone, these colours go well together, we're just going to, like, do that. Which is kind of like... I mean, that's the... It's the same thing they did on Boulder Dash, wasn't it? Because Boulder Dash had a really nice colour scheme, and all they did was just match the good complementary colours.
Yeah, yeah.
But you just... And I guess they do on all the games. Like, probably Manic Miner probably did as well. Because, like, at the end of the day, like, Manic Miner looked pretty good, didn't it? And there's only, like, how many different colours? 8? 16 maximum?
No, it's 8. And that actually really surprised me. So you've got black... And then you've got red, blue, and green, and then you've got white, and then you've basically got mixtures of red, blue, and green in between. So you end up.
So you basically got the colours of the rainbow, right?
Yeah. So you've got yellow, which is obviously red and green, and then you've got purple, which is red and blue, and then you've got cyan, which is green and blue. Green and blue. I said green and blue. Green and blue.
Green and blue.
I like green and blue.
Yeah, no, green and blue is pretty good, man.
But apparently the colours are pretty much basically you've got a bit flag which represents the colours up to 8 bits, and then if the bit flags are on, it turns on that colour or not.
Yeah.
And then they're just the lights for those colours.
Man, I am lost. I've been I literally have been everywhere I can think of down in these caverns. I don't think there's anything down here.
The interesting thing is, from a technical point of view, that colour turning on and off, unlike, say, for example, what we'd get with colour palettes these days, they didn't actually represent the colours on the spectrum at all. They represented the colours.
Over.
It just instant kills you.
What happened? Like, I ran out of time, did I?
I think you just ran out of health.
Oh, I ran out of health. It just reset. Yeah, right, game over.
But it just zeroed and went, yeah, game over.
Yeah.
Which is really quite interesting as a, yeah, you did.
Yeah.
But, so when you set those bit flags, all it does is change the signal that gets sent to the TV to tell the signal on the TV, on the lead that went to the TV, whether it's maximum of each different color that was on the TV signal. So depending on the brand of TV you got, obviously the colors could look slightly different. And I suppose arguably that's the case with everything.
I mean, that's the same with anything nowadays, isn't it? Because like everybody's got like different brightnesses, contrast, colors, and whatever.
Yeah, and I don't know whether you actually do this, but my monitor is I color tune mine. So like,
I do too. So like, you know, like if ever any indie devs are watching this, one of the best things you can do for graphics and is basically get a calibrator. And generally, like, you do generally need a monitor that's decent enough to be able to be calibrated, because you get a real cheap, crappy one, you're probably not going to be able to calibrate it. But if you have a calibrated monitor, then what tends to happen is, like, because you're always looking at the same thing, you get used to doing your graphics a certain way. And then what happens is when you put it on internet and you view it on mobile or any other device, it'll always mostly look how you envisioned it to be. Like, there'll be differences in the hues of the colors and maybe, you know, but generally the brightness, like if you like, so for instance, when I was working on my game initially, I didn't have a color calibrated monitor. And so I would do an image on my monitor, and on my monitor, I didn't realize I had the brightness turned up quite high. And so I'd put an image of my game on the internet, and because my monitor was high, all of my graphics were really dark. And so, you know, my uncle would be like, Uncle Kaz would go, "Oh, that image you posted on Facebook, it's really dark." And I'm like, "Is it?" And I'd be like looking at it on like my computer on like line, and I'd be like, "Looks all right to me." And so then I'd go round his house and I'd be like, "Show me what you mean." And he'd show me, and you literally couldn't see it. It was like that dark. And I'd be like, "I think you got your brightness turned down too much." Or, you know, like, and he'd be like, "I've never touched it." and so, you know, and so basically I was a complete spanner, which is why it's really important, even, I suppose, even if you have got a crappy monitor and it can't be fully calibrated, just for some sort of ballpark kind of calibration, I think it's really important to calibrate your monitors.
Yeah, I mean, I had to do it because of work, basically. And the thing is, as well, like when you do calibrate, one of the other things as well is if you're doing anything to do with print, which obviously you're gonna have had this sort of situation with doing your stuff for your, you know, packs and stuff like that. If you're doing anything with print, then once you've got it calibrated and you create your stuff for print in stuff like Photoshop or whatever you're using, it will tell you whether or not the colours you use can actually be printed out on the printer that you've registered it for, sort of thing, or whether or not they won't.
Well, I mean, print's a different beast, right? Like, so for example, when I went to PAX first time, you know, like obviously they put up like big posters on the back of the stand, like really big posters, and like that took a while for me to kind of wrap my head around how to actually like set them up so that they print out pretty good, because my first time on my screen, like all the graphics, and it looked exactly how I wanted it. It looked great. When it printed out at PAX, people would say it looked great and stuff, but it looked really dark. And,
yeah.
And what it was is it wasn't so much to do with calibration of brightness, but that was more to do with saturation of color. And so, like, you know, I had the main girl on my game. I used to have her face kind of like bluish in blue kind of light, like, you know, blue moonlight, and then it'd be like a red background. But like, because it was kind of saturated, when you print that out in big poster form, it'd end up being quite dark because like it's using more ink in it. And so
yeah.
So second time round, like I kind of ended up like desaturating her face quite a lot, so that it was like, you know, only the merest hint of colour in her face, kind of thing. And that worked a lot better. And the other thing I did was like, you know, I kind of really, basically, like when you're doing print like that, you want to try and kind of keep the colours as close to primary colours as possible. So if you're doing a red, you want, the closer it is to like pure red, the better it's going to look when it prints out as red, kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. It's this weird thing as well with print, because it's essentially the inverse of oh, I should have picked that food up. Look at my health.
Oh, you got a while, yeah. There's loads of food down here. He's in the next room, so you don't even need that for him, unless you want to kill him. I think he's in the well, he was in the next room. Yeah, there he is. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, you don't need
some of my health.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so I'm the knight, and I have got the axe. So you
right.
Do got axe. Gets the sword.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. It seems more a sword name seems more knighty than surfy, but I'll go.
Yeah, because normally like knights have a sword, don't they?
Yeah. Yeah, one of the things that's interesting that I found with print, not that a lot of people will know about this or will kind of figure out that it works, is because print's essentially the inverse of what you're seeing on screen. You know, like on screen, absence of colour is black, but on print, absence of colour is white, because print on white paper.
Yeah, yeah.
And so one of the things that's interesting with print is if you basically print the black, you can also print red into the black, and you get this kind of like weird thing where you end up with black print, but it feels a bit kind of reddish sort of thing, and you get this kind of bit of a red tint to it. And you can also do what they call, I can't remember what they call it, but they call it something like absolute black, printers do, where you do all of the colours. So you do black, but then you also do red and the other two colours kind of thing, all in one. And then it looks kind of like darker.
Oh, you got a key. See, that wasn't there when I was playing.
That means I'm going to have to
drop something.
I'm just going to say, having Z as your
yeah, key, especially in playing joystick. Oh, look, you know where the green is, though.
Right. I'll get rid of that frog's leg.
It's all about the keys, man.
You can do anything with that frog's leg, can't you?
Yeah.
Oh, crap. So, without the blue key, I can't do anything here. Double staircase. So that must have been the attic.
It's a really nice paced game, isn't it? I can kind of see why it was my favourite when we were younger, because I think it's like, it's hard, it's challenging, like, because it's kind of quite difficult to do. You're not going to do it first game, but it
feels a bit manic.
It's manic, yeah, but it's not like super impossibly hard. It's kind of quite moderate to play, isn't it? It's not. It's kind of not hard, but you just kind of like you're just stuck with limited resources, basically. Because I mean, basically, the mechanics on this game mainly are the fact that you can only pick up 3 things, which means you have to keep going back and forth for stuff, and that you've constantly got health going down.
Yeah.
But I think you might be right though about like when you change floors, it resets the food.
Ah, you little blighters. So is it whenever you go to want to pick something up, it goes absolutely crazy with you getting loads of enemies on the screen.
I think it's your brain going crazy, bro. You're like, no key, fire! Ah!
All I want is a tiny bit of food. Just give me a tiny bit of food.
Oh, jeez.
Oh.
No food for you.
This reminds. Do you know what this reminds me of? Oh, look, food straight away. Reminds me of you know, when you've gone out to do some shopping or something like that. You know, like maybe you need some new shoes, so you go out, you do a bit of shopping, and then you start getting towards lunchtime, and you've nearly finished your shopping, and you're like, well, I could go home for food, or I could get food right now, and then you don't. Oh crap! I'm back. Oh no, that's fine.
Yeah, that's good.
That's fine. Look, so I've got the blue key now.
Yeah.
And so yeah, you're absolutely starving, and all you want is that food. And this is what this is like.
Yeah.
On there, I want my items.
It's a nice little trick as well. It's a nice little effect, like how you got the bony chicken, and it kind of like slowly reveals.
Look at that sign on the side. That says ACG, and it's got an arrow down. But the ACG, I'm pretty sure, is this way and then up. Yeah, look at them.
I don't think those signs point to the that door. They point to different ways to go. So when it points down, if you keep going down, you'll come to stairways, stuff like that.
I'm thinking they don't point to anything. I'm thinking that is just an arrow under the logo, like an actual arrow, if you know what I mean. It's just a part of the design. And I interpreted it as being like an arrow pointing you in the direction, but it's not. It's just like, this is our logo. It's got a little arrow on it. Maybe it's not even an arrow. Maybe it's a sword.
I figured while you're doing this, I'm going to just do a little bit of background on this game.
I'd imagine, yeah. Does it actually have a background story? I bet it has got it.
Oh, actually, let's have a look. I'll see if there is. Hang on.
The one thing I do know is the ACG key. ACG was the parent company that owned Ultimate.
Oh, was it?
It's the only thing I know.
Okay, it actually doesn't look like this one's actually got a story. Let me just see if I can find Atic Atac side inlay. Nah, I don't think this one does. Which is kind of more in tune with how I remember games on the Spectrum. I was kind of surprised when we had those on the other games.
Yeah.
So what we got? So released in 1983, and then on BBC Micro in 1984. Game takes place within a castle, which player must seek out the golden key of ACG by unlocking doors and avoiding enemies. It was Ultima's second game to require 48k of RAM, but most of their previous games for Spectrum ran on 16k. Game was written again, obviously, by Tim Stamper, and graphics were designed by brother Chris Stamper. Atic Atac received praise from critics upon release, mostly for its graphics and gameplay. It was later included in a 2015 release by Rare on the Xbox One retro compilation, Rare Replay. Game served as inspiration for the critically acclaimed adventure game show Nightmare. Really?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I could see that.
Really?
Yeah, that makes sense, doesn't it?
I guess it does, but it's like, yeah, right. Let's see what else we can find out about this.
I feel like I've been everywhere on this floor. I'm going to go back through this clock. Go back up here.
Okay, so ACG is actually... So, Ashby Computers and Graphics was founded by brothers Tim and Chris Stamper, along with Tim's wife Carol, from their headquarters in Ashby de la Zouch in 1982. Under the trading name of Ultimate Play the Game, they began to produce multiple video games. So Ultimate Play the Game was just the name that they used to release their games on the Spectrum, but their company was actually Ashby Computers and Graphics.
Right.
Which is the ACG. During the development of Atic Atac, staff would work in separate teams to ensure quality control. One team would work on graphics, whilst the other would oversee gameplay or sound. Well, there was only two of them, so I mean... The Stamper brothers worked 7 days a week with hardly any sleep in order to devote more time developing their games, and would frequently reuse the same game mechanics of their earlier games in newer games.
Well, I can attest to the working, not really sleeping and working really long hours, because I've certainly been doing that the last few weeks.
I've been doing that like for a long time, and I don't know. I kind of gotten used to it. There are times where like a bit of sleep deprivation does kick in, and I feel like I haven't even slept. But
it's a weird feeling when you do it. Like, so I'll do it because I'm really into. That was rude. I came through a door and he was on the other side.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Son of a gun.
Yeah, it's a different feeling when you do it because you've got a problem, like a bug that you really want to fix, versus doing it because you're in the middle of something and you're like excited to get back to it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you get this different feeling of tiredness, because when it's that you're excited to work on something, and so you're working long hours, you tend to be like, oh yeah, I can't wait to get back to that, and you're thinking about it, and then you get back to it, and
second part of the K.
But when you've got an issue that you need to solve, and you've got to get back to it to sort the issue out, you tend to more kind of like, I guess, be concerned about the issue than excited to fix it, if you know what I mean. So it does give you a slightly different bit of tiredness. But
yeah, no, when you're working on new stuff, it's like you don't really want to go to sleep. You just kind of like can't wait to get back to it, right? And in that situation, like with me, like because I live on my own, it's quite often, especially if I'm working on something new, I've definitely had these moments where, or these weeks or months where, like, I literally have like 4 hours sleep or whatever. Do you know what I mean? You just get so.
I've got stuck. I got stuck in the door.
Stuck in the door, I couldn't move.
Yeah.
Hey, was it your Sinclair that said Bruce Lee was good?
Yes.
Okay, look, I'm sorry, right? But like, I'm gonna have to say this, right? Because in this Wikipedia it says, in 1991, and bearing in mind, okay, this is like, many years on, and there was a lot of Spectrum games released, Atic Atac was ranked as the 79th best ZX Spectrum game of all time by your Sinclair.
79?
79th.
That's interesting.
It was voted 8th best game of all time by the readers of Retro Gamer.
Now that I can get behind that, because although I do really like Atic Atac, I accept the fact,
it's not the best game. It's not the best game.
Well, there's different opinions, isn't there? So you kind of, you can say, oh, it's my best game, but you can't say it's the best game.
That's right. Like, it's my favourite game on the Spectrum, but like, it's definitely not the best game, I would say. And although it does have a uniqueness about it, it's like, as far as oh, you did it again, right? Dang! I thought you were going to do it then, because you had 2 of them.
Yeah, I felt so close.
Dang!
Oh man, I feel like
I can't believe you got stumped by him twice.
Yeah, and I feel like I only needed to go into the attic and get the last bit. I'm pretty sure the last bit was in the attic. But yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to be the. I'm going to be the.
Yeah,
I'm going to be the surf this time.
You do a quick playthrough as the surf, because I kind of feel like we've played enough to be able to review this now. But I think,
yeah.
I think whilst we're talking about the review, we should definitely have some playthrough of the surf.
Yeah, I want to see what the difference is. I really want to see because I guess like the axe and the thingy weren't that wildly different, were they? But let's have a look.
Can I mute? I'm just gonna audio options. Can I mute my sound? Audio mute. Love it. I'm gonna have a little. I'm not gonna play seriously, but I'm just going to run around as the serf whilst you're doing this to see whether or not it feels different from me. I love the little character loading part. It's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, I'm just going to say, so from a character to character
he's
point
slower.
of view, is he?
He runs slower, and his knife, for me, compared to the wizard, is tiny bit faster, and it feels more accurate. But
okay, I mean, I'm not sure there's a. I'm not sure.
I don't think there's that much of a difference.
But I will say that
I think he's got a little bit of inertia on him, so he kind of feels a little bit slower.
That's what I thought. He had a little bit of inertia, which was wigging me out.
Yeah, no, it feels like he kind of swings about a bit more than the wizard.
I think his weapon's slower than the axe.
Yeah, you might be right, you know, because I did have a quick check on the axe.
The axe looked like it flew around like lightning, but yeah, he's got aftertouch.
Yeah, he's got inertia, hasn't he?
Do you reckon it's those boots that he's wearing?
It's got to be. Look at them. I mean, they are some interesting character designs on this. I mean, they're literally a head running around on some big legs.
Yeah, so I mean, this game has some, to me, some really interesting things to talk about. First of all, the graphics, right? Sprite design, as usual, for Ultimate, they're fantastic little sprites and stuff like that. I think.
Yeah, they're really unique, aren't they?
Yeah,
especially
really
for the age as well. Like the age, in terms of graphics, it's like those guys were doing things that looked good way before a lot of other people were. You know.
Yeah, I mean, you know, just they kind of like. I know it's simple, the enemies and stuff like that, but it seems like quite well thought out, and like they've done a good job of using all the pixels they've got.
You do realise though, us saying that the graphics are good, you do realise that if there was a single, you know, Gen Z watching this, they're going to look at us and go, bloody hell, fucking boomers.
What are you
man.
on? This looks awful.
Fucking boomers.
Yeah, it's so. It's funny because somebody was saying about this. There's this particular Spectrum group that I'm on Facebook, and somebody was saying about this. Like, they were saying, like, you know, when you consider it, the graphics on Spectrum are actually really awful, right? And I kind of disagree with that. And the reason I disagree with it is because what you've essentially got is you've got a thing that has got limited graphics, right? Now, saying that the Spectrum's got awful graphics, I would say is similar to saying that an oil painting is really good graphics, and a pencil line drawing where, you know, you're perhaps doing it with, not a pencil line drawing, but say a drawing where you're doing it with ink drawing, so you can only do black or white, is terrible. It's like making a comparison between those two. You can still be really artistic with the limited medium.
Absolutely. I mean, look, right. I think the thing is the fact of the matter is, like, a lot of indie games nowadays, and some of them are really successful. Like, there are games that like mimic Spectrum graphics. They don't have the color. They don't have the color clash, but everything else is there. And then, you know, if you really want to take it to another extreme, like, you only have to look at, you know, indie games that are done in ASCII characters nowadays that are reasonably successful, right? And so, you know, I think the thing is, it's the same with the ASCII art. Like, the thing that makes Spectrum graphics good is that, like, you know, if you think, you know, like, basically anybody who's never designed graphics that only have like one color, like if you're doing like any kind of like retro type pixel art game, sit down and like do some graphics with characters that are one color, and you know, you'll like level up your, if you've never done it before, you'll level up your pixel art skills big time, because like it teaches you a lot about shape and stuff, like, and you know, it's like, and then if you add to that on the Spectrum or anything that had, I mean, this had such a limited, like, same as a lot of arcade games, the resolution's so small, isn't it? And so you know,
So
working in
when,
those constraints, it's like when you do something good, it stands out as being good compared to other stuff.
there's a couple of things I've noticed that's a bit weird on this, right? When you next get into a room with a rug on it, which you'll be here, right? Run over the rug. Why are you getting colour clash from your character against the rug?
Oh, I'm not. It's XOR. The characters are XOR'd over everything.
Okay, it's different on yours to what it is on mine, actually.
Because like you see how like even like when I run through doors, it's XOR.
Okay. So this is an example, right? So if you go into the middle of if you get your character and you shoot with your character, yeah, your thing that's coming out of you is yellow, yeah. Your character's white, so the color clash on your character should be yellow, but it's not. It's blue. Do you see what I mean?
That color clash is coming from the wall, though.
It's attracting the colour from the wall to your weapon and then over to your character in some sort of weird way.
What about if I stand in the middle of the room? Hang on.
And also when you go on the barrels and then you start doing it, it seems to
stand in the middle.
Ooh. Yeah. If you go on the barrels and shoot your weapon, it's attracting the colour from the wall onto the barrels rather than.
That is weird. I'll give it that.
Right?
Like, look at that. What's that colour clash there?
That presumably
that's my cross. That's my
blue.
gravestone.
Yeah. But you'll find like you shoot those bad guys and they get blue colour clash on them from your sword. And I'm confused as to what they've done to actually do that. Like how that's actually happened. It's quite bizarre.
It is unusual. I'll give it that. I'll give it that. It is unusual.
I mean, is it intentional? Because
I think it might have something to do with the fact that everything's XOR'd. Like, look, that's XOR'd, right? There's no kind of. I mean, I don't even know what you'd call it back then, but there's no stencil, any kind of stencil. You know, because later games, the characters ended up like with some sort of stencil around them, right? So that when
basically they saved where they were and then redrew it back.
Redrew the background. This doesn't.
They're XORing the character and then re-XORing the character and then XORing him at the new location each time. Yeah,
which is the fastest way you can do it, and that's
why.
Clearly,
because look at the speed and smoothness of this compared to.
Yeah, well, that's why. Like, I mean, we've said about it before, but like, even when you played a modern game, say like Batman or Exelon or Great Escape, any of those newer games that came out years after this, none of those games were anywhere near as smooth and as fast as these old Ultimate games. And it's because they basically chose to make massive sacrifices in visuals to kind of achieve like the glidey feel, because there weren't, you know,
it's like they just embraced it, and I kind of really like that.
And in some way, I kind of like can see why they would do it, because at the end of the day, everything's all colour clashy and stuff. So, you know,
that room that you're in back there. You can't walk through the table, right?
No.
That right. So can the baddies go through the table?
Good question.
Can you use the table as a shield?
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I like as well that you can, in these thinner rooms, you can bounce the weapon up and down off the wall and almost create a shield with your weapon where the baddies can't get to you. Yeah. You know, even like the bouncing diagonal is like cool because they just bounce around the room so much that they are getting the enemies sooner or later.
Well, the interesting thing
look
is
there, purple colour clash on the lion when you walk over him.
Oh yeah.
Now, isn't that weird?
He does have purple feet though.
Yeah.
At the top.
But why?
Why is it clashing? Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I noticed. I found it to be quite weird.
It is. That is unusual. Yeah. See,
and then
look, he's got blue. He's got blue. That guy. He's got blue feet, and so now he's going to be blue.
Now the other thing is, and I don't know whether it's my eyes, right? But those lions are a different white to you. I mean, considering the spectrum's only supposed to have 8 colours.
It's grey.
Yeah, the spectrum's got 8 colours. So where does that grey come from? And the only thing I can think of is it's some sort of they've done some sort of inverse, and that lion's actually all background colour.
That's what I was thinking. And so, like, when you're running over him, the shape of him is done in black.
Yeah, and so that's why A, you're getting the weird colour clash, but B, maybe that's why you are getting a different white, because the background white is different to the foreground white. Maybe I don't know.
Maybe that was a design choice in that they didn't want to have anything on the background like interfere with your character, and so like they made a design choice that nothing would be white except for your character and the doors.
Yeah, it was either that
foreground background design kind of thing.
This thing that you're saying about with the XORing, maybe the XORing worked better. You know, maybe they had some sort of issue with the XORing, with the character going over it.
Because I didn't think, like, when you did an XOR, and, like, you know, for people listening, like, you know, basically, you know, if you don't know what we're talking about, well, here's the quick explanation. So, like, you've got, like, you have, like, say, a binary number of, like, say 8 characters, and like it's all zeros and ones, and if all of them are ones, then it's 255, and if all of them are zero, they're zero, and it's basically base 2. It's like a way of representing a 256 number in 8 characters, and you know every one of those characters is a 0 or a 1. So if there's different operators you can do on those numbers, like, so for example, oh balls, I didn't want to fall down there. So for example, if you did an AND on 2 numbers, it will, every time there's, if you got 2 numbers and like every time there's a 1 in those 2 numbers, it will generate a 1. And if it's a 1 and if one of the numbers is a 1 and one of them is a 0, then when you do an AND, it'll be 0 because they're not both like 1s. And with an XOR, similar sort of thing, but with an XOR, what it does is it basically, if the number is a 0, it'll change it to a 1, and if it's a 1, it'll change it to a 0. So when you see the character walking on the backgrounds and stuff, it's an XOR because you can see it inversing the pixels. And so basically each one of those dots is represented by a number, it gets XOR'd, and that like switches the bit on it. And because in these old games, like you're literally dealing with one color, you're literally, you know, that was the quickest way to do like characters walking over backgrounds, and you know, your only other choice to do it would be to like make it so that the background just went black as you walked over it, which a lot of games did, but like that kind of looked a bit messy. Man, I did terrible that time.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Like Atic Atac, I wonder, did I just get a lucky dungeon, or
I think that's the thing. I think that's the thing about Atic Atac, isn't it? It's like if you get a dungeon where
a quick try with a wizard and see what he's like.
If you get a dungeon where, hang on, I'll just pop you up. Yeah, I think it, like if you get a dungeon where, like, you know, maybe because you got like 2 AG keys really quick, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure whether
look,
or not
you just got a green key and there's a door there. Go back.
Was that a green door?
That was a green door, yeah.
Let's open that instantly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what you said about that XOR, it's an interesting thing because it's sometimes quite difficult to see on this because of the colour clash as well. And
I did explain that right, didn't I?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, cool. Because it's been a while, like, since I've
mucked
around.
I do like the way you quick explanation and then took the long
Yeah.
You could have just gone, if you got a number 1 and then you and it with another number 1, then it, you know, you could have just gone down that route. Yeah. But I like that you explained the whole binary thing as well. You know, go crazy.
Well, you have to, right? Because, like, you know, we're talking machine code, and people, like, you know, see dots on a screen and make up pictures and stuff, but they don't necessarily. Well, they probably do, but they don't really understand, like, especially if they're not game developers, they don't understand that, you know, this is all done with numbers, and like part of the code is, especially back in those days, because like you're literally drawing all them sprites with code. You know, most of their job was like literally manipulating numbers, weren't it? Pretty much.
Yeah. So one of the things that is a fantastic mechanic on this is the whole bouncing bullet thing. And at the time, I don't think was there any other games that done bouncing bullets? Because
I was actually going to say, right, because I'm just going to check actually, right, because the only game that I can think of that had bouncing bullets was Gauntlet in the arcade, and you know, when you got like the reflective bullets in Gauntlet, you kind of lost your mind. It was like really good for back then. Like it was like, oh wow.
But in this, the bouncing bullets are such a mechanic of the game because when you're waiting for those doors to open, you're basically running into the wall and then running into it at different angles to shoot the bullets, bouncing them off the wall to hit where the bad guys are. And it's really important to the game to be able to do that. Like, you know, you'll just run left and right shooting the wall.
So this is interesting, right? So I just looked up Gauntlet, right? And Gauntlet came out in 1985, right? And so that would makes you think, oh wow, like Atic Atac's way before Gauntlet, right?
Yeah.
But like on the first page of the wiki, it says the core design of Gauntlet comes from a 1983 game called Dandy for the Atari 8-bit computers. So I'm just going to have a quick look at Dandy.
Dandy sounds familiar.
Okay. Oh right, I see. Yeah, so basically Dandy is like Gauntlet, basically. It's kind of like...
Is it saying you can bring a screenshot up or not?
Yeah, it is. Hang on. It's like a very kind of basic Gauntlet. I'll show you. You'll see it and you'll be like, oh wow, yeah.
So this playthrough that I've currently got, Taz, this one's hard mode because I am struggling to find anything.
I think you just got to go down into the dungeons, and you just got to drop down when you get in that situation. It's probably all down there.
Yeah, I've struggled to find.
If you go up
down sections, which I'm sure there are.
Yeah, you go up.
I managed to.
There's one.
I got down this one, right, but then when I got to the floor below there, I couldn't find another down section.
Go up again. There's more. I'm going
to go down here.
Okay.
And then I've got a feeling I just went the wrong direction. Let's try. Oh, the bookshelf. I could go through that. I bet that's what it is. I ain't been through a bookshelf. Because I wonder if when it does its randomization, it takes into account what character you are.
Yeah, maybe.
I'll be quite impressed if it did. Oh yeah. So you was gonna pop up Dandy.
Yeah, I'm just doing the magic now. Hang on, I'll overlay it on the screen.
So when you were talking about design of characters, look at the wizard here, and this is one of the interesting things. To do this character, they've kind of put a highlight on his hat, but the highlight has to be in black because the hat is in white. But
that's right.
It as a highlight.
Yeah.
And then the arms, for example.
So same with if you go back into that other room and look at the stonework on the dungeon, it's the same. They've got like shines. They're all in black.
They're in black, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting little thing because, like, a lot of people would,
but that's the thing, though, isn't it? Designing sprites for like one color, you have to get inventive, and like, it doesn't matter how you do it. All you're trying to do is put an idea of a shine in someone's head. They don't care that it's black. They look at it and they recognize it's a shine. They recognize it's a kind of shine. It is a weird thing, but like, I kind of think that, you know, coming from a sort of like background of, you know, like a lot of, I don't know whether you'd call it career at the time, but I suppose it's like the thing that sort of started us getting into programming and all our careers later on. But coming from doing, I don't know how many years were we doing Spectrum and Amstrad for, like maybe what, 7 or 8 years, something like that.
Yeah.
So coming from that, where you kind of like just constantly like designing in one colored sprites and getting used to that whole, because it's like negative space and stuff, isn't it? It's like a real kind of challenge to kind of like do good sprites and stuff. But I do think though that, and we've said this before, like there were a lot of like Commodore games that had lots of colors. They look crap because you know, clearly one of the things that made some of the Spectrum games look better is because there was only two modes in Spectrum. It was either crap graphics or good graphics, pretty much.
Yeah.
And generally, this game's got good graphics. So yeah, I don't know whether you can see that on the stream there. Maybe pause.
I'm doing a little run around in circles. I don't know what pause key is, but I can see that. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it's
That's
very
interesting.
It's very jank graphic. I mean, the thing is, though, you got to remember, right? This was made in the same year as Atic Atac.
Yeah.
And look at the graphics, right? And so, like, you know, there's a big difference. Even like Atic Atac's got way better graphics. Like it's
you know, I think there's always a thing that some people will not see the art. They struggle with the concept of seeing art that isn't realistic, and it's a similar thing to like like when you look at music.
I think generally the indie developers in the indie scene now don't think like that, right? Because most of them are doing pixel art games. So clearly,
I saw an interesting post the other day where somebody had posted they'd done a pixel art game, and the graphics on it were pretty good, but they'd done like Spectrum style where everything was single color, and they'd done a pretty good job of it. And they were asking if anyone knew how they could make it so that it got color clash. And I was like, well, I hope they managed to do it. I don't think it's a particularly hard thing to actually do.
It would be a pain in the ass to like emulate.
Well, I mean,
because essentially you'd have to do some sort of shader trick or some. Well, yeah, I guess you'd just do a shader trick, bit of mathematics, and you just draw big pixels of color over it, right?
I mean, I can tell you how you do it straight away. So you'd obviously be doing a shader, right? So you'd have your transparent sprite. You'd make sure your sprite, say, to the specific sizes that you were drawing when you drew it, and then you would work out where on the screen they were in those pixel sizes. And if it was transparent, you'd get whatever pixel beneath it and tint them the color that you were drawing.
And then you just pass the background color of whatever you were near to the shader, and
it'd actually be.
It wouldn't be
easy.
that hard. I might try that one time because it would be probably quite fun actually to do something like that. But
the issue is with it is that a lot of, and obviously nothing, not doing anyone down who's a developer or anything like that in saying this, but a lot of people can't do their own shaders or don't really know how to.
I must admit though, like nowadays things like shader graph and amplify and the one that you get in Unreal, those kind of node based editors, it's actually not that hard to do shaders nowadays. Like
no, a lot of people don't kind of take into account the fact that they can use those and then quite often get the source code for that shader
and convert it into nodes, because I've done a lot of shaders where it's like, I've converted even quite complex shaders that like years ago I bought on Asset Store, really like the shader, and then I've just gone through the shader code, converted it all to shader graph, and then I've got my own new version of it, for HDRP and stuff. It's not hard, and it does kind of like teach you, like basically, I think it depends on how your brain works. Like, so for me, even though I can do whatever I need to do inside shader graph, like I still haven't grasped how actual shaders work together and stuff. I can't write a shader in code, but I can do
in HLSL kind of thing.
No, I have no concept of how the functions are created, how they're run, at what stage they're run, all this, that, and the other. Whereas in shader graph, I don't even think about that. In shader graph, I just think about, well, this is just all the operations that are going to run on a pixel. And, it's just easy. So I think, like for me, like one of the things, I mean, on a completely different note, when because I've been programming for like, I'm not even going to say how long I've been programming. Like, it's a long time, right? Like, but because I've been programming for like a long time, when I first came across things like Playmaker, and for those who don't know what Playmaker is, I guess the Unreal version of Playmaker would be something like Blueprints. But when I first came across Blueprints or Playmaker, I just was of the opinion, why would you do that? It's a terrible idea. Like, you could just do it so much quicker and easier in code, right? And that is true, and I still, that is to a degree true. Like, but my views have changed on it. Since using things like shader graph, but also like one of the things that I do on mine, I use behavior trees, and I think Unity has now has some behavior tree stuff built into it, but it's like
it does.
But basically, what is it? Like it's Bolt, isn't it? Bolt, is it Bolt? Is that behavior tree stuff or?
Might be. You sent me a link for it the other week.
That was the new one. That was the new one, right? That was the new one. I'm going to check that out because it's like the one I'm using is like Node Canvas. Node Canvas has been around for years, but it's like essentially, basically, what you do is you're like those little nodes. They're just custom nodes, your programs, and you can kind of like. Once you create these nodes, you just hook up whatever you want, and you can basically define the graph however you want. And so I wouldn't, for example, have a graph of code where it was doing lots of logic checking and this, that, and the other. Essentially, I wouldn't program in a graph, essentially. But one thing I do think graphs are really good for is like, I have a state machine where a character can, has got like a run state, a jump state, attack state, all that kind of stuff. And then in the graph, I'll make it so that, say, like, like an enemy boss, when it's a certain distance from you, it'll change to one of these states, and it'll have probability chains that go down to different states, like, 10% chance of doing this state if you're this close to it, that kind of stuff. And when you kind of start doing that sort of stuff, previously to doing that stuff, I used to do it all in code. And when you're working on a large game, it's like, it's a really bad idea to do it all in code because you end up, it ends up getting exhausting. You end up like, you just end up, you can do, once you've done one or two enemies and got them working without any bugs, after that, it's like, oh my God, this is becoming a nightmare. And at some point, if you really kind of want to do, a bigger sized game, at some point, you have to swap some of your stuff to be visual because you just can't keep thinking about that level of code. You just spend all your time debugging code. Whereas if you kind of modularize it, break it up into bits, and then use a visual graph to chain it together, you're not particularly losing anything in terms of performance because the graph itself, it's probably it's probably only using like 0.01% of the CPU.
Although in that circumstance, and it's a similar thing with the graphs that you're talking about for doing like shaders. So
graph,
if you've got a shade graph, and this is one of the things that I think slightly different from say, for example, your Playmaker type stuff. Although Playmaker arguably can be used to the same extent. What we're generally talking about.
By the way, is right. If somebody want to make an entire game using Playmaker, I think that's completely valid now. That's my opinion.
I mean,
my opinion now.
If you want to do it, that's up to you.
I'm not a code gatekeeper anymore.
No.
Like, if somebody wants to use Blueprints or however you want to build a game, it doesn't really matter. Like, I'm even of the opinion if somebody doesn't know how to do graphics and stuff, if they want to use AI and stuff to do a game, go for it. Because at the end of the day, it's more about them making a game, right?
Yeah. It's just one of those things where when you're talking about stuff, for example, for a shader, quite often the nodes that you're pulling in, they don't do a single shader command. They will do a shader job. So an example of that would be the command to sample a normal map. Is quite involved. There's quite a few commands you do in HLSL to pull out that normal map and decode it to get a normal.
It's almost like a little machine code program, but on the GPU.
Yeah. So there's a few commands in there, but it's one node. And so, for example, behavior trees. Quite often, what you'll do is you'll have your behavior tree, which is controlling a state of a character and what they're doing, but actually. Say, for example, that behavior tree says, right, go and pick up that weapon, right? There might be a couple of stages that like within that behavior tree that says, right, first of all, I want you to find the path to the weapon. The next stage is going to be to follow that path to get to the weapon. And then the final bit is to pick up the weapon. But all of that is then backed up with bits of code that do each of those individual commands.
No, that's right.
So, a lot of people get confused because they think a behavior tree actually makes the character do all those things. Actually, what we're doing is we're guiding code by using something visual.
But basically, like what all you're using the behavior tree for is to wire your code together. That's all you do.
Exactly.
And so each one of those nodes are very simple. When you open up the code for them, might be 20 lines of code, and most of that code will be initializing the variables so that you can plug them together. There's not much functionality in there. And in fact, so for example, I might have a node in my behavior tree called follow nearest hero, right?
Yeah.
And, when it switches to that node, that character will follow the nearest player, the nearest human player. But when you open up the node and you look at the code, basically what I'm doing is it's like very short bit of code, and I have a, I might have an actor, and it will go actor dot follow hero, and all the complex code and everything like that interacts with the environment, all my weapons, this, that, and the other. That's actually in a completely different place. That's in the actor itself, and that part of the code is quite involved. There's lots of stuff going on, but the actual behavior tree part doesn't do any of that. All it does is call it. There's just there's a function exposed, public function exposed, so that the behavior tree can call it. That's it. And so the behavior tree ends up being like a just a framework really to kind of call your more complex code. And so, when I was saying before about Playmaker or something like that, or a behavior tree, I wouldn't do things like add variables together and stuff like that. For behavior trees and stuff like that, I find that that's too fine grained, and I want all that stuff locked away somewhere else. I don't really want it. But there's nothing wrong with doing that if you want to do it like that, because that is kind of like the shader node kind of way of doing things, right? Because in shader, if you do shader graph, you do add numbers together, and you do powers and stuff like that. But I guess in something like shader graph, the only thing what I do with my shader graphs is like, I'll do, say, a function, and it will have all the add numbers and stuff, but then I'll make it a subgraph, and then when I want to run that function, I just connect it to that subgraph node.
And I mean, that's where things. That's why, like, if you do use something like blueprints, the reason that you get some code. I mean, some people are a bit anal about it and very gatekeepy, but the reason that people are kind of generally surprised is because what you can have is a single page of code where it's doing a bunch of stuff, and you can look at that line of code and you can read it like, if you're a good coder, you read it like it's English. You don't even really need any comments on it. You could just look down and go, oh, I know what that's doing. That equivalent of that code is going to be several screens of behaviors, and so to actually get a gist of what it's doing, you're going to have to sort of scroll around and look at all that. And it's fine if you're doing it on your own, because if you are the only person, you are the kind of like owner of the project, if you like, then you'll probably remember what that does. You'll go, oh, I know what I'm doing with this, and you'll look over it. Same as you do with any sort of things like that. But where there's a difference with something like shader graph is most shaders aren't that big. So 100 lines of code, most shaders are going to be 100 lines of code, and that's the difference.
And to be honest, most of the time in a kind of like node-based shader system, most of it's taken up by sampling the textures, right, and hooking them up, and doing your basic stuff like smoothness or roughness and metallic and stuff like that, hooking up all the maps and blah blah blah. That's the majority of what you do in shaders half the time. And then you might do like some position nodes, some scene nodes if you need to do some fancy stuff like depths and whatever. But most of the time, it's with shaders, like there isn't. You can go nuts with shaders, but generally, I would say in most games, it's not like there's like 400 shaders, right? There's like, once you've got up to like, I think in mine, I'm using maybe 30 shaders. And some of them are very specific, like, clouds. The clouds, they have a specific shader. Most of the environment is one shader. Like, it's just a normal shader, it's like similar to the built-in HDRP shader or whatever, but it's my own version.
Well, and this is the thing, like, if you were to take my game and compare it to your game, so I've got about 20 shaders on mine. But if you actually made a direct comparison, like yours is realistic, mine's kind of like got sort of comic booky sort of style to it, I guess.
I don't like calling mine realistic. I like calling it stylized because I don't think it is realistic.
Stylized realistic. It's Capcom stylized.
Yeah,
sort of
I would call it high fidelity. Basically, it's like it's high fidelity stylized because like. It is high fidelity in the sense because it's using HDRP, right? So it's kind of like it's got that kind of Unreal vibe to it because it's got like proper lighting and stuff. But I wouldn't call it realistic.
But you're using what do you call it? You are using like surface-based shaders, right? Where you're kind of like you got all reflection, metallic, and all stuff like that. Yeah. So if you take a comparison, say, between ours, I would argue that most of the shaders we've got in both of ours are still going, for example, do a bunch of stuff, whatever you're doing, sample a bunch of stuff. And
that looks crazy what you're doing on that at the minute.
It's freaking nightmare.
How are you not dead?
It's going to freaking kill me. Those mushrooms.
I know, it's just wild. I was like, oh my God, there's so many things that can kill him right now.
So we're doing our bunch of stuff, whatever the stuff does, but ultimately at the end we're going now use whatever rendering method we're using to draw our thing. And in my case, it's the thing that does the cartoon thing, and in your case, it's the thing that does your thing.
Yeah, and in my case, it's probably a bit simpler because, like, I'm literally using the built-in stuff that's provided in HDRP to make it look all nice, right?
Yeah. Whereas I've got a specific custom wrote shader that does the freaking cartooniness kind of thing. But yeah, ultimately, all the different shades then recall that same thing. So if I were to do mine in shader graph, there would arguably be quite a lot of it that would just be like do that rendering bit, and then the rest of them would be the bit that does the bespoke little part. The only part of mine that would get really complicated to doing something like shader graph would be the post-processing, because, I would say a lot of people who are doing shader graph stuff probably aren't doing custom post-processing where they're writing it themselves, kind of thing.
I've got custom post-processing. I'm using shader graph.
But for those, what kind of things are you doing with the post-processing? Like comparatively minor things like screen space reflections and
so that sort of stuff is already provided by HDRP. They've already got screen space reflections built in, and high-end stuff built in. But like, so for instance, I use just trying to think. What do I use? Post processing. I've got like a spirit. Like so for example, because HDRP. I'm only using one camera, right? But I've got like UI elements and stuff, and so a
I
lot
keep
of
forgetting that on the freaking night.
yeah, I'm not surprised. It's chaotic. So a lot of like what a lot of people used to do is they'd have like in the old days like on like especially on Unity, I just saw so many people. They'd have one camera for the game, and then they'd have a separate camera for the UI, and then that you just change the properties on the second camera for drawing UI and like have it overlaid kind of thing. Which is worked fine because it's not like your UI camera was typically like unlit, and so it's not like it was doing lots of rendering work. But in HDRP, I don't know whether you can nowadays, but when it first came out, you couldn't do that. You had one camera. You just couldn't do it.
You can do it now, but you're
Oh,
right.
you can.
You used to. Yeah.
Yeah,
They
okay, so you
call
can
them,
do like camera stacking or something like that, right?
Yeah,
So,
and it actually works.
yeah,
When
okay.
they first released it, it didn't work at all. It was like really quite glitchy.
Okay, well, so what I did instead, and like I might have a look at the camera stack and see whether it's worth swapping back over to that if it's performant. But like, so what I do instead is all of my UI is drawn up. Like I have it on a UI layer, and basically I just have a post-processing custom. What's it called? Custom render pass.
Yeah.
And that basically like renders all the UI. Because the other thing is like my UI, I didn't want it to have post-processing on it.
Yes, of course.
So that's so I'm doing stuff like so that's all done in shader graph. It wasn't particularly like the thing is it's like you can just have a simple shader graph, right? And then the way they've set it up inside Unity, like a custom post processing, you can literally just select. You almost don't have to do much really. Like there's a bit of code, there's a little bit of C# code just for connecting stuff up and the render queue or whatever. So I don't even think it's probably like maybe 40 lines of code, something like that, just to kind of sort that side out of it. But then the rest of it is mostly done with the drop down on the custom pass component, pretty much. And then you just give it the shader, and it kind of does a lot of work behind the background, just figures it all out, kind of thing. So all your shader has to do, like for my UI, all I had to do was really create a shader graph that had like an unlit unlit output with and then something that replicated like the built-in Unity sprite thing, pretty much. It's pretty basic. But and then the other thing I think I've got is like a outline shader. Got an outline shader which was pretty simple. So I got a couple, like, but not loads. I mean, like, but again, like nowadays, like if you think of most, like even AAA games, like if you think of just most games that you've ever played, like that, decent size, high budget games, and I'm talking anything that's not indie, basically. How many different types of shaders are there? How many?
They tend to just use all the same, don't they?
They're basic. Everybody's trying to use the basic shaders because they are the most performant and they want their game to run on most systems, right?
Yeah, I mean, if it weren't for the weird skew on mine, then I wouldn't have needed to write my own custom shader. So I only had to do it because the game's skewed. So I could, like, my two main ones are ambient occlusion, reflections, and like a bit that does outlines.
Are you using URP?
Yeah.
Right, yeah. So URP doesn't have those built in. I think it has ambient occlusion, doesn't it? But it doesn't have.
Well, no, but they provide you the codes for the the HDRP ones, and you could just adapt it really easily.
Okay.
You know, if you can write your own HDRP, SSL code, HSL code, you can write it pretty easily.
Right.
It's pretty easy to adapt it. But it's just the fact that it just doesn't work because mine is skewed off. So all the reflections
you've got a weird like almost semi-faux isometric.
Yeah. It's like a weird oblique kind of. I refer to it as a weird oblique projection, but isometric's a good way of looking at it.
I suppose it is kind of isometric in it, but like 2D.
It's just my own weird way of doing it.
Well, it's kind of like Final Fight, isn't it? Same thing.
Yeah, I mean, I actually got the idea from Double Dragon's bit when you get to that part and it's got the giants.
I think I'd call that 2D isometric. Because isometric is like, you know, like that, isn't it? It's like a diamond, basically.
Yeah.
Whereas what you've got is that diamond in 2D.
Yeah.
So you basically, it's what do you call that? A skew. It is a skew, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just a skew. Yeah,
it's a skew. Yeah.
So let's get on to a little review of this, right? And just quickly, right? So check this out, right? This dude, if I get him, and I'm going to walk forward, and I'm going to stop at the end of this thing's face. Oh, I can't get rid of all these enemies, but if you tap left and right, this is him moving left and right. His axe moves fairly fast, right?
Yeah.
And he's fairly responsive. He's got a slight drift to him, right?
Yeah.
But if I reset and go in with the wizard, check out how fast. You are so right. This wizard is like lightning. He's bombing. He's all over the place. But even from,
what's his bullet? What's his bullet? Do his bullet?
Look, it's nowhere near as fast as the axe.
Yeah.
It's kind of quite chill. In fact, I can almost walk as fast as my bullet almost.
That's probably why I lasted half an hour my first play. And 10 minutes with the surf, because he's a bit more responsive. It's easier to dodge. If
I then go to the surf is really quite bizarre because he has so much drift.
Yeah. I thought it was different.
Like, look, I can stop pressing the key and he just carries on.
Yeah.
He moves literally the same distance again. So a tap will move him, and then a whole. It's like two characters.
That's why I only lasted 10 minutes with him. Like
then his sword, it's. I mean, it's fast. It's faster than the wizard's weapon. Slower than the axe, but it's just the fact that it's a little bit hard to aim with compared to the other two.
Yeah, because I think it's just shooting in a straight line. I think it's actually a bit of an optical illusion, really.
Yeah.
Because it's pointing in a straight line, whereas the axe is spinning. It feels like you're getting more coverage, but I don't think you are.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether or not they are.
Could be narrower though. Maybe it is narrower.
Could be.
Does
but I'm not sure.
Pixel perfect.
It does, and that's the thing. But his aftertouch is extreme. That's just one tap, and it's one tap makes him go like that. And if I say, the knight has got a little bit of aftertouch. You can notice it, but comparatively, just a little tap on the knight will do this. It's nothing.
Yeah, he stops almost. Yeah.
The wizard has he feels like he's got a tiny bit of aftertouch, but he's so lightningly fast that I think it's that you tap and he just moves a really long distance. But yeah, this axe does feel like it's just got a larger area coverage. I don't know whether it actually has, but it certainly feels like it. It feels a lot easier to hit enemies with. So I think the Surf is the worst character.
Yeah, I didn't like him. Well, I mean, you could tell I got beat up.
But as a game, I mean, really good.
It is really good. I've got to show you this, though. I've got to show you this. Hang on. Like, you keep talking for a sec. I'm just going to find something.
So my question would be, is it better than Jetpack? Because that was the previous...
I think it's better than Jetpack.
It is, isn't it? It's a lot better.
Like, I think, like, so, like, I would say, in terms of playability, they're basically about the same because, like, they're both fluid, silky
Smooth.
smooth arcade games, basically, on a Spectrum. Like, that, they're about as arcadey as you can get on a Spectrum, pretty much.
Yeah, and I do want to point out, even though I said the Surf's bad compared to the other two, it's only compared to the other two. Like,
Yeah,
fine.
yeah, he's still good.
I just want to point out that although there's that weird aftertouch with him, which is a little bit of a weird thing, when you're moving around like this, he's instantly changing direction. He's not, the aftertouch is when you stop, but you can instantly change direction. I can dodge around, and dodging is as easy pretty much as with the other characters. It's just when you go to stop that he does a weird thing. So yeah, he's just the worst, I think, because the other characters are kind of balanced, and then I'm assuming they've gone in and kind of gone, let's make Surf a little bit different. But in making him a little bit different, they've kind of taken the really cool strengths of the other ones, and they've kind of lost them a little bit. This whole thing of picking up keys, though, with the Z key, I find that a bit weird because you have to let go. You have to sort of go away from your keyboard. Like, I'm reaching over to press the Z key. Probably not such an issue back in the day because you used to stick your Kempston joystick to your desk in order to use it with the little sucker pads on the bottom.
Yeah.
So you probably had your keyboard right next to. But yeah, like to do a quick responsive, I'm having to reach out my finger to the key to then grab that key, and then that's a little bit awkward. But that's a limitation of the fact that they had one joystick key, I presume, at the time. And they kind of, were like, oh, well, we've only got one joystick key. We need a pickup. I mean, I suppose they could have done it so that you held down fire, but that would probably have been worse. But
yeah.
I think this is close to the best one we've played so far.
I think it's good in. Well, let's put it this way. I think. Because I think it has like a lot of Ultimate games, and you know what? Like, we were talking about this the other day. Like, when we were talking about that bad, or well, it was a bad one. It was 5 out of 10 review that Sinclair gave
Boulder Dash.
Boulder Dash, and then you were saying that they gave like Night Law a 9. And ever since you've said that, I've been curious to play Night Law. Because like I'm just like. I remember it being kind of, I don't know, it wasn't, I don't remember it being one of my favourite games, put it that way. And I'm almost can't remember what the...
I remember it being really good graphics, and then, like...
Not much to it.
The playability was a bit lacking. It just
so
didn't
I'm
feel...
curious now, because that got high marks, right? And it was, and also, I think it, like, I almost think that was like a changing moment for Ultimate Play of the game, like in the sense, maybe it's because it was isometric, right? And it was one of the first isometric games, and people were like, "Oh my god, 3D!" But I get the impression that was almost a defining moment for Ultimate Play of the game. So
I felt that it was, from what I remember, I felt that it was a little bit of a frustrating game because of the fact that the stuff just wasn't as kind of like arcadian as responsive as these other games or Manic Miner or anything like that. But well, we'll have to see, won't we? But yeah, I remember it being that everything was, you had to be really perfect on the edge of a lot of the jumps, and it made it really difficult and really frustrating. So it'll be interesting. But this, I mean, certainly coming back to Spectrum games, Ultimate are quite ultimate at the moment. But the only thing that's come close to this is obviously Boulder Dash. But Boulder Dash isn't...
Really different games though, right?
Yeah, and the thing is, Boulder Dash's quality... Oh my god, is this a remake?
No, yeah, right. So this is the thing that I had to show you, right? Like, so, like, going back a few years ago, right? Like, so... this was like a game that I was making for the Creech Band website, And
Oh, okay.
and so that little character there is me when I used to have like blue hair with a streak in it, right? And so, but like
I love it.
you can clearly see the axis, and you know where I might have got the idea from.
Yeah, I love it. There's interestingly, if you, I don't know whether you can do it, but could you bring up a screenshot of Atic Atac on the BBC Micro?
Yeah, let's check out the other versions, because there is a couple.
Well, I'm just wondering which ones are official, because it says on the Wiki, ZX Spectrum and BBC Micro, but I don't see any other versions listed on there. But there is an Amstrad and a Commodore version. But I think
there is a Commodore
they're later
version.
remakes. They wrote that the Commodore one was made in 2020, I think. So they're
Oh, really?
they're ports that people have done.
So there was one,
believe.
like I saw a thing, like there was, so the only other one that I saw that was official is there was an Xbox version. So that'd be curious to see what that looks like.
Yeah.
I'm just bringing up this, hang on. So this is what the BBC one looks like. It's always interesting, and it's so different versions.
Yeah.
Hang on. That's quite a large image. Hang on. Okay.
Okay, so say if you're doing
So that's the BBC one.
The Xbox one is the Spectrum one.
Oh, it is.
It's just it's emulated, yeah. So that saves you doing a lookup of it. It's just got some graphics each side.
Well, that's the BBC one.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah.
The Spectrum one probably looks better, to be honest.
I think it does, yeah.
It's like, but again, like, so this is the example we were talking about earlier on, right? About how tricky it is to make things look good. Because, like, although that doesn't have color clash and stuff, essentially it is one color, right?
It looks like Dizzy as well.
It does.
That's Dizzy,
you
right?
know where? You know what I think? Like, if you look at, like, let's just see if I can get. If I just put that there like that, and maybe just start the game there and.
Yep.
Okay, so there we go. That's what we're looking at.
And the thing is, like, the Spectrum one there. Oh, sorry. Let me do. What character is that? That's the wizard, right?
That's the wizard. Yeah, does look like
switch
Dizzy,
to the
man.
wizard. I'm just going to switch to the wizard because he. So they're in a downward view like that. So downward view. That's the same character view.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean the proportions are different, granted, but it's not just that. Visually, like look at the turkey, for example.
Yeah. You know what?
It's very much a less is more.
Yeah, you know what? The other thing is like the other problem. They had a double problem here because like part of the reason why the graphics aren't as good on the BBC version is because although they don't have any color clash, and so technically they could be able to, potentially do superior graphics. Look at the pixels on the chicken. Each pixel on the BBC in whatever mode they're using to do those graphics is twice as wide as the Spectrum one. The Spectrum one, all the pixels are all square. And so I've got a feeling that the resolution on this was even less than the Spectrum, and that's part of the reason why you've got wackadoo. You've got like the wizard is like because look at the moon on his head. It's kind of they really had to kind of struggle to kind of similar problem to what.
But look at the compare the lion on the rug compared to the one that we've got, or is it a bear? I think it's a lion. It's a cheetah, isn't it, or something? It's got circles. Yeah. Would you say, looking at that, it seems logical to assume that moving characters had to be one colour on the BBC because the characters that move in a single colour. Yeah, everything else is
because that's the same as the Spectrum. Like that's XOR'd. The only difference is when you XOR on a Spectrum because because you had one colour XORing. Apart from color clash, you were just going to get that. It was like inverse pixels. Whereas on a system where they had multiple colors, the XOR and caused the color to actually inverse. And so,
but it's just interesting that
red
their main
gets
character,
inversed to like blue, right?
they chose to do him as a single color, and I'm guessing that's because sprites had to be one color for performance reasons.
Possibly. And also, like, the other thing is BBC was probably just as bad as Spectrum performance-wise. So they're using XOR because that was the fastest way to do it, and their main thing was, like, playability.
So the Commodore version, though, actually looks half decent, but that was made in 2020.
That's cheating, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but
I mean, that's like that is kind of like me. That one that I just showed you, that game that's like me doing. Like I did that in 2009, I think, and it's like, you know, you can have much better graphics in 2009, right?
Yeah.
So
the Amstrad one was also done in 2020, I believe. The best looking one is the Amstrad one. They've done a really good job of creating that one. And I think it purely comes down to the fact that the Commodore and the Amstrad one, both done in 2020 as a little port, and the Commodore's just got limited colours. You know, their actual colour palettes, they're not vibrant enough.
Was the Amstrad one a later one as well?
Yeah, so that was done in
Oh yeah, that Amstrad one looks wicked.
Doesn't it? Yeah.
Hang on, I'm just gonna put this up on stream so that anybody interested, like, so. Okay.
Yeah, 2020 as well. So both of those were 2020, but the Amstrad one is very good.
Yeah, no, I'm going to show you the difference, right? So if I go back to mine, and I will just to give you an idea of what a good job they did on the Amstrad one. So that's the title screen on the Spectrum. And the Amstrad title screen looks like, hang on, let me just download this. Jeez, hard to actually find a really good
image that you can use.
I'll put this in anyway. I mean, it just looks really. I think it's because like I'm using like a 4K monitor, and like, you know, I'm looking at an Amstrad game in actual size on a 4K monitor. It's like, oh my god, it's like tiny. Hang on, let's just whack this in. But it really is quite nice. So if I just stretch that up, you get the idea anyway. Yeah,
it's really nice use of the colours. And the Amstrad had a good colour palette. They were quite vibrant colours. It was just one of those things. If they got the right artists, they could do a good job of it.
Like, that's a really nice. The only thing you can say about the Spectrum, like, and again, this comes down to simplicity, right? On that Amstrad one, look at the Ultimate Play the Game logo.
Yeah.
And then when you look at the Spectrum one, my god, it's so crisp.
Yeah.
Right.
It's one of those things. But
that Amstrad one does look like really nice fidelity. It's got really good colours. It's all blended and looks great, right?
Yeah, I think the thing is that Amstrad reminds me of oil paintings. That's like an oil painting where it's kind of like, it's not got the detail.
They had a fairly distinct look like Amstrad games, didn't they? They were still a limited palette, but like essentially I think they had, how many different, like, was it 16 shades of each colour?
32 colours in total, and the shades of each colour were a bit bizarre. I think there was like
4 of each, maybe. 32 would mean that if there was 8 colours like the Spectrum, and there was 4 of each colour, maybe.
It was a bit weird. So you had your 8 original Spectrum style colours, then you had 8 half shades, and then the remaining 32 colours were blends of those shades. So you did
like
get
in
browns.
Betweens, like browns and stuff like that.
Yeah, so you got browns, and you know. So if you look at that Ultimate Play the Game, you can see they've got green, light green, and then as it goes up, it turns brown in between.
And then there's a dark brown, and then there's white, light blue. another
And then
blue.
they've reused that
So there's-
same brown for the torches, where the torches are going out from yellow towards the wall. So
Yeah,
it's an interesting
that's
thing.
why it ends up being quite a unique style, the Amstrad, when they did good graphics, because like it's not just a case of, again, this comes down to being limited by color and like stuff like that, right? When it was done really good on the Amstrad, you ended up with something that didn't really look like any other system because it had a certain color palette. It was the same as the Commodore as well. The Commodore was the same.
Like that wizard, his cape and the highlights on it and all stuff like that. The way that works, they've done a fantastic job of that.
Chain looks really good as well.
Yeah, but it's one of those things. Like things that worked best on the Amstrad had real contrast. So you had bright spots, intermediate spots, and dark spots, and you needed kind of like extremes of those throughout it, and it worked really well. But if you had anything where you just wanted to create pure vibrancy, like you do on the Spectrum, it didn't necessarily work as well. So you kind of had to go, we're not going to create the same as what the Spectrum looks like. We're going to do something different. And then when you create something different, you create something special. Same with the Spectrum.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think so. Atic Atac's a hard one because I'm not sure if it's the best game we've played, just because Boulder Dash is so damn good. But
I think it's I think it's up there, right? I think the thing is, it's like, I think once people got used to the hardware and they really sort of like started reaching its limit, like it didn't take long. Like I'm pretty sure, like in 1984, like the amount of games that were good in 1984 compared to say 1983 was like 10x, 20x. You know, it was like, because the thing it's like once
1983. That's definitely the best game we've played in 1983 so far.
What else have we played in 1983? Well,
so it's that
Bruce Lee.
Jetpack. No, that Jetpack and Manic Miner. Those were the three so far.
Bruce Lee was 1984.
1994. Yeah, that's the newest game we've played. And the worst one, but this is.
I would say, like, you know, like different kind of games. This is equally as good as Boulder Dash and Manic Miner in a different way, because it's like, you know, Manic Miner for what it is, brilliant, right? And same with Boulder Dash, same with this. The only thing I would say that where I think this peaks ahead of those games is this is incredibly slick. It's really slick,
which is the thing, because when you compare it to Boulder Dash, although Boulder Dash has got that kind of like unique replayability, and it's got, you know, level M, which is fantastic.
yeah
The smoothness of it and stuff like that, it doesn't have that. This is slick as heck.
I mean, this is essentially running 50-60 frames a second. It feels like it does feel it's like running full speed, whatever the full speed is. And it to me, like it, like, you know, I mean, like, I don't know, like that to me, that does feel like that to me does feel like it's running at 50 frames a second, because that's what it was, wasn't it? That feels. It might be.
I don't actually think it.
It might be dropping maybe 30.
Because I don't think the Spectrum. I don't think the frame rate on Spectrum did hit 50.
Let me see.
Oh no, it did. It is 50 frames per second. Okay.
Yeah, so I think like there are times you can kind of see where it slows down occasionally, but when it's running at full speed, which it doesn't always, but like say for instance when you run into a new screen, right? That's 50 frames a second with no baddies on the screen, right? Still 50 frames a second. Another one comes in. Okay, now you get the right. Now it's starting to kind of.
It's your axe. That's what's doing it.
My axe. Right, but like you run into a new.
It feels.
Oh, but it feels good.
It feels smooth. It feels really good to play.
I mean, the difference is this is probably like a good maybe 4 times. You know, it feels like it's either 4 times, 3 times faster than Boulder Dash, right? In terms of like.
I don't know. Boulder Dash felt like 10 frames a second.
Yeah, that's what I mean. This is like at least
So
4
I think
times
this is
faster.
4 or 5 times faster.
But so was Jetpack, though. Jetpack had exactly the same responsiveness of this. And so, I mean, when you think about it, I mean, that was essentially, for these starting games anyway, Ultimate Play the Game, is the thing that they did that nobody else seemed to do at the time is they made games that ran super slick and smooth. They were more simple. Like, these are simple. Like, this and Jetpack are fairly simple compared to, say, Boulder Dash, I'd say. But this has got like a bit of nuance to it, though, isn't it? This one's probably, you know, in a way, starting to get as complicated as something like Boulder Dash. It's got a lot going on. It's got doors. It's not like Jetpack. Jetpack was just one screen.
A lot of screens. 200 screens.
This has actually got some different mechanics. Not many, but it's got some.
Would this, you know, the random gameplay element of this is similar,
like procedural,
I suppose.
right?
Yeah,
similar
procedural
to what now.
And I suppose in a certain sense, what we were talking about with Boulder Dash, that you kind of like you create the experience by what you do within digging your maze within it. It's a similar sort of thing where this is procedural. That's kind of, you know, has an element of that. But yeah, obviously so far best game of that year. The other two, not downplaying the other two. The other two are still good games.
The other two are great. This is just a different kind of game, I think.
Yeah, and I do remember we played this a hell of a lot, crazy lot. But yeah, as to whether or not it's better than Boulder Dash, I would just say
it's a different kind of game. Like you can't really compare them because you get completely different things out of this and Boulder Dash, right? And you do, and to be honest, you do with Manic Miner as well. Like Manic Miner, it's like it's in a class of its own because there is no other games like Manic Miner, and
which is one of the things that's really weird because, and this is one of the things out of this experience so far, which has become obviously weird, is the fact that we've just played 5 games so far.
They're all unique.
And they're all unique. But nowadays, right, if you get a game from Steam, say, for example, you were to look and go, oh, I'm going to buy this new game, most of the games are a clone of another game that's doing something slightly different. And an example of that would be Call of Duty Battlefield.
Yeah, look, although to be fair, though, like, you know, once you get up to, like, you know, like, take, for instance, like we were talking about it the other day, right? Night Law. Everybody lost their shit when Night Law came out because it was isometric and it was like, what? Never seen it, right? But then you had Batman, Head Over Heels, basically, that were basically the same sort of game. But, like, you know, at that point, they'd worked out how to refine it even more. And so I think the difference between, say, something like Night Law and Batman is Night Law is probably a more slick version of, like, you know, something like Batman is probably more slicker and probably runs even better than Night Law because by that time, you know, they'd really kind of nailed down the architecture of the games. But so there were games on Spectrum that were cloned. But I think the thing is, it's like, you know, if somebody cloned, say, Atic Atac back in them days, people would be like, well, that's just Atic Atac.
Yeah.
Whereas nowadays, it's like
people clone games constantly.
People clone games all the time, and I think it's because like the games are more complex now, and so if you clone a game, it's not exactly a one-to-one copy; it's just heavily influenced, right? Whereas if you made a game like Atic Atac, it'd just basically be Atic Atac, wouldn't it?
But if someone were to do an Atic Atac style game back in the day, it would have just been an over-the-top kind of like Dungeon Explorer type game, and then they'd have given it a unique flavour to it. But these days, people don't seem to do that. Like the amount of games, like so, Vampire Survivors came out, hugely successful, and now you're getting this Survivors, that Survivors, blah blah blah.
Same with like Flappy Bird, right? Flappy Bird's a good example, right? You can't copy Flappy Bird,
but there's 10 million versions of it.
But because you can copy Flappy Bird, but basically it's the same game.
Yeah.
With different graphics, different sound.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
So on that note, yeah, it's one of the top 2, definitely. But I just don't think you can. But you know, I don't know whether you could compare it to Balderdash and say whether it's better or worse, because they're both so good.
I think it's one of those cases where, like, even though Atic Atac's my favourite game, or, I'm sure they're going to play another game and I'm like, actually, this is my favourite game. But, like, I think even though, like, it's one of my favourite games, it's like, like, they're totally different games, and, like, the games are good depending on what mood you're in to play that type of game, right? And Balderdash, like, what other game was there that was like Balderdash? None that I can think of. There isn't.
No.
And so, like, and that's the thing, right? Like, that's the thing which kind of astonishes me in a way nowadays. It's like, there's so many games from back then that were utterly unique, and they still are.
They still are,
and they still are. They still are.
Like, why haven't they been ripped off? It's weird. But yeah, people these days will go.
People will quite happily.
I want to make a new Call of Duty.
Yeah.
The amount of Call of Duty clones there are, which I know they're clones of Dune and then Quake, and Doom and then Quake. But it's the fact that so many people do the game and it's almost the same. They try to create it almost the same. There's so many first-person shooters that don't do anything special.
I think everybody. I mean, the thing is, it's like, is it even possible to make a game nowadays that's original without it being crap, right? Because the thing is, it's like, there are games that come out nowadays, mostly by indies, that are incredibly unique, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, not everybody wants to play a game like that. And, like, the trouble is, I find with a lot of those kind of games nowadays, is that essentially, like, those games, to be stand out, they almost have to be gimmicky in a way. They have to have something about them that is really, really stands out as being different.
I mean, partly maybe it's the Hollywood effect. You make a film and you put it out there, and it's a really good film. Doesn't matter how good it is compared to getting exactly the same film, putting it out there and putting, say, Warner Brothers' name on it. The people who will go to see it will be massively, people like to follow herds. So if you get a game and it's incredibly popular, loads of people will just play it because it's popular, not because they necessarily like the game. I think
it's partly that. And look, to be honest, I don't even think it's a bad thing, right? I think it's partly that, and I think it's also partly like artistic worship, because, like, because, like, imagine, like, think of a band like, say, think of a band like Tool, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when Tool came out, they were really fresh, really unique, and then ever since then, there's been a ton of bands that come out that sound like Tool, right? Because they had such a distinct sound that it's similar. I mean, it's kind of like such a distinct sound, but it was such a good sound that, like, it just influenced a lot of artists, right? But the thing is, all of those artists that come out and they sound Tool-ish, they also bring a new thing to it as well. Sorry, I got like a...
You're just slowly dying there.
Yeah.
While you're slowly dying, I was just going to say, on the Atic Atac, one of the things that I've noticed, these older games, on their title screens, they have, like, such simplistic title screens, like select your control method, select your character, all on just press some keys and then go start game, versus how the hoops we jump through these days to make the UIs look really nice and stuff like that. They don't give a crap. They're like, look, just do your thing. And then at the bottom, slam in the all right reserves from ACG, and again, don't really give a crap whether the menu looks that great. It's just functional. It's an interesting thing.
I think I mean, it's partly because the game's so simple, but like one thing actually, like that I'm not a massive fan of in a lot of modern games, and Helldivers 2 comes to mind, where basically to make a game more, I guess, feel like it's got more parts and make it more interesting, right? A lot of games nowadays, they'll have multiple different currencies, and then they'll have multiple different types of weapons, and you can upgrade them in multiple different ways.
Gotcha.
And it's this whole idea that, like, if you do that, if you create 5 different currencies and you make it so that some of those those different currencies are different rarities, then it, and then you can kind of make it so that the game you grind to get
grinding's
all
my
the stuff.
bugbear.
And in some way, that's going to make the game last longer. And
yeah,
I think the thing is, it's like, for some people, like, it probably does, and like, means that they'll play it for hundreds of hours and whatever. But like for me, I just it really doesn't matter how you approach it. To me, like, a good playable game, I'll just keep playing it.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I'll give you an example.
Stop wasting money on giving us different camouflages for your guns. Just make the game good.
Well, I'll give you my perfect example, right? Is like, so me and Hard Drive, other brother, we used to play Left 4 Dead, right?
Mm.
And essentially, Left 4 Dead, has been cloned a few times now. Like, you got things like Vermintide, which is essentially like Left 4 Dead with different graphics and different. They add a lot as well. They add melee combat and stuff like that. They do. It's not just a rip-off. But the thing is, it's like Left 4 Dead. You essentially start the game. You could choose different game modes, and that was about it. They had like different campaigns, but essentially you'd start a campaign. Each level was 15 minutes, each level was 15. Each campaign was an hour long, but they were split into 4 levels, 15 minutes, and you'd basically have to get to the safe room. That was what you had to do for each level. Kill a load of zombies in between, and then on the last level, it'd end up with you'd be at some place where you'd just get attacked by swarms, big creatures, this, that, and the other, and it'd just become chaos, and you'd get your ass kicked basically. And that was it. There was nothing else to it. There was no skins. There was like 5 different weapons. That was it. Nothing to it. Nothing else to it. It was the same thing over and over again, right? Thousands of people played that game. Thousands of people. Like, you go on like Steam, the amount of mods there are for like Left 4 Dead 2, it's like 100,000 mods or something stupid like this. People are still playing that game nowadays, right? And we played it for like good 500 hours, right? Just playing the same thing over and over again because it was such a good bloody game. Whereas something like Helldivers is a great game, but it's wrapped in bullshit. Like everything about it is all about trying to funnel. It's all about they're basically trying to do what Left 4 Dead did because it was good, but in an artificial way.
Yeah.
And the weird thing is underneath it all, Helldivers 2 is a really good game. But they did things like nerfed weapons because, like, they'd look on the thing and go, oh, everybody's using that weapon. What can we do? And instead of thinking, oh, let's make all the weapons as good as that one, right? They'd go, well, let's just make it do less damage. And so then you'd go and play that weapon that everybody's using, and you're like, oh, this is crap. And, bit by bit, they kept doing that. every time, and so then nerfed a bunch of weapons, made it crap, and this, that, and the other. But it's the hoops that they get you to go through, and ultimately, what they're trying to get you to do is buy a war bond, which gives you, some extra weapons that aren't even as good as the base weapons anyway. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of like, I think like, and it's starting to happen, like, but things like games like Elden Ring, like Black Myth Wukong, you buy them games, there's no extra bits. They might do a DLC a year later or whatever, but they're not trying to convince you to buy skins or a pack or whatever. It's a fully completed game, and you wouldn't want any skins or packs because it's all in there.
And that's the way it should be.
But,
it's the AAA industry at the end of the day. It's sell this, sell that, and hopefully indies don't embrace that. But you never know.
Well, if they do, they'll fail. It's as simple as that. Like,
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah.
Don't say hopefully.
Only the bad ones.
Only the bad ones.
Yeah, so we can learn from, so everyone else learns from them. Because I think a lot of the AAA ones are kind of failing where they're overdoing that and people are getting fed up with it. Not everyone does. Some people.
The thing is, you can say whatever you like about AAA games or whatever, free to play, blah blah blah, right? Because I think like free to play is bullshit, right? Like it's like it doesn't help anybody. In fact, actually, I'll tell you what it does. I'm sure it works out for some people, but what it does is it encourages like AAA games to do, AAA companies to basically dominate that market with indie developers feeling like they have no choice but to do like not charge for their game because they just can't even get in a ballpark whisper of like the AAA game that's free, right? And that's true. It basically like creates this monopoly, I always thought. But it's like at least it does feel now that like, like there is like people starting to kind of like value like buying a good game kind of thing. And so
because those ones are trash,
yeah, but like that said though, like I do like, even though I've had my minor complaints about AAAs, free to play, skins, microtransactions, this, that, and the other, I do actually think that at this moment in time, we are currently living in the best that the game industry has ever been, because you've got so much choice, man. You've got so much choice.
Yeah, and it's funny because I read a thing on somebody done a post and said that we lived in the best time for video games when we were younger, but those games are all still available.
Yeah,
that's
right.
And you can get them for free now.
That's right.
And play them. I mean, which is nuts. So
that's right. And
anyway,
yeah, we should call it anyway.
We should call it an end to the stream. That was fantastic game. I don't think that disappointed. The only thing that I would say, and this is my only criticism of playing Atic Atac, is I knew it was going to be great.
Well, we can't play an ultimate play the game one next time.
No.
So,
and I was hesitant on doing this one this time because of the fact that we'd already done an ultimate play the game one. But
it's an interesting comparison though, because it is like 1983, isn't it? We've done a lot of 1983.
Well, this is the thing. I was looking for a game from 1983 because I wanted to keep in the zone. I wanted to keep slowly progressing forward from that year. I didn't want to jump too far forward. And on top of that, Boulder Dash was kind of like my Atic Atac from back then. And I know Atic Atac is your Atic Atac. So I thought it was good for us both to have done our special game, if you like, from those times. And then, next time, let's do something completely different. I've got a couple of ideas of some ones that are very different from what we've already played. So next time's going to be interesting.
All right, man. All right. Till next time.
Yeah. Have a good time in Australia, man. I hope it's all going well over there.
Yeah. All right. Catch you next week.
Yeah, catch you next week, bro.
That was really good.
Yeah, it was a good stream, man. I can't hear the tunes this bit. Yeah, I have to rewatch it back on the stream.
Oh, really?
The little boogie. Yeah,
So just like
boogie
banging
tune.
your head to nothing.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
I know it's doing the cute tune.
Hilarious.
Yeah. Like and subscribe and all that.